Futures trying to go positive here as we get going on a Tuesday morning. We are about 1.2% for the NASDAQ away from all-time highs after both the Dow and S&P set another all-time high to start things off on Monday. There's green right now for the NASDAQ once again. As we head back to the upside here, it was all about tech on Monday. Huge day for some of the semiconductors. Nvidia led the way for the most part. We'll touch on all of those coming up, some interesting storylines. In that group this morning, it's worth noting, not a heck of a lot on the economic calendar today. Consumer inflation expectation number can move the market. It's at 11 o'clock, so a bit of a weird time, but can move the market if it does come out one way or the other, higher or lower than expected. Daily expected to come through, and then we get a few other Fed speakers today as well. They haven't really been terribly market moving, we'll call it, the last couple of days anyways. There's Alibaba down almost 4%. It was 4%. It was more than that at the lows. We'll touch on why coming up here. But we got that, I mean, there was never, I never saw a confirmation, but we got that rumor that was floating around midday yesterday. 6 trillion is going to be the number that they're targeting as far as stimulus is concerned. But again, doesn't seem to be doing the trick here as far as these ADRs tend to like.
No, and we talked about why yesterday, because there's lack of specificity coming out of the Minister of Finance. So yeah, okay, we're going to prop up the property sector that's been hurting for the last few years. Yeah, we're going to take care of some of the local government, the municipal governments that's heavily in debt, but it doesn't get more specific than that. That's as specific as it get, and the market wasn't too impressed with that. But there's lots to talk about today, Brendo. DJT yet again. Yeah. Oh my goodness, and then he's launching his own little coin there, World Liberty Financial launches today.
Of course he is.
Should be interesting. Banks killing it too. Reporting this morning. Good luck.
Yeah, what is it? 22, 23 days or something like that until the election. So lots to come, I'm sure, from DJT. Just wild couple of days here for DJT. Meanwhile, don't look now. Here comes Apple. 1.26 right now at the highs. Flirting with, I mean, we're a few percentage points away, but flirting with all-time highs here, as I mentioned. NASDAQ sitting right at that level as well. So all about tech on a Tuesday, guys. Good morning.
Ooh, tech on a Tuesday. Flirting with all-time highs. We're full of them today, but I feel like it can be a jinx, this flirting with the all-time highs, because that's essentially what Nvidia did yesterday. Like it got there, but didn't technically, I mean, it didn't actually break it.
But it closed.
It had an all-time high close, but they didn't make an all-time high wick. I feel like Apple could do a similar thing here today. But wow, DJT and Schwab, go figure. If you thought those were really going to be the two names that would be moving up the most this morning for the watch, that aren't like the crazy small cappers, which I guess DJT is. Yeah. Then congratulations if you picked those two. Schwab absolutely flying. DJT. It's just sort of doing what it's been doing, which is this continuation, move higher and higher and higher. Seems like there is nothing stopping it, but shout out to a close second for Schwab here, which bank earnings, obviously, they all did well. I mean, BAC's up, Goldman Sachs is up, but Charles Schwab, almost double digits, fills in almost the entire gap, depending on where you put the gap. I mean, if you're talking about the actual gap itself, it's filled in, going all the way back into July. But yeah, strong move here for Schwab. What doesn't give you is obvious levels of continuation because it's blown through everything. But if you look at where this was trading, last time it was in the 70s. You had support at 72. So I'm going to be looking for a continuation on Schwab. Hats off to the banks. They've definitely led us off pretty well this earnings season.
Yeah, it was banks are going to be talked about today. Obviously, Goldman Sachs, a big one, Citigroup, a big one, Bank of America. And I said, what am I even investing in Berkshire for? I mean, this guy's selling Bank of America, BAC today, up nicely. But this is one here yesterday that we had on, man, and we had FXI. And I laughed because there's that move that Brendan was talking about earlier where we ripped up and we were able to get this short and then closed it at the end of the day. Oh, yeah, it's the Banana Man. It's Randy coming through right now. What's up, Randy? You had yesterday off, I see. How was your Thanksgiving? Was it chilly up there, or it was pretty good? Yeah.
What, Mike? What? Yeah, it was a little...
lot of turkey, or?
A lot of festivities. Yeah, a lot of turkey and ribs.
Ooh, ribs. Okay,
Ribs.
I haven't heard that one this season yet.
Gotta mix it up a little bit.
Bang.
Ribs are better than turkey by a whole lot. That's not even
Pumpkin pie.
not even close.
Pumpkin pie.
Apple
and
pie. We had
butternut
apple pie
squash
instead for
and-
some
oh,
reason.
yeah.
I don't know.
So now I gotta work it all off.
No, what's the plan for that? Going for some walks around here?
Yeah,
Or
time to go for a
walking
stroll.
time?
I'm gonna go see Halim and.
Oh,
you know,
yeah, it's haircut time? Oh, yeah.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
haircut
you-
time.
yeah,
you're getting there.
Yeah, it's haircut
It's getting
time
a little,
for sure.
little lengthy.
I like that. Get that beard trimmed up or no? Does Halim do that for you?
Oh yeah,
Oh, he does it all, eh? Okay.
he does it
It's
all.
gotta be full service, right?
He's the guy.
You guys all remember Halim phoning us here? Oh, you got your banana as well? Okay.
Fuck, you know.
What's going
Gotta
on?
make sure it doesn't get stolen by nobody.
China's down again here today. Your Tesla didn't have a great robo-taxi event.
No.
Your XOM is
You
starting
missed
to go
it
down.
on Friday, but
Energy's
it
back
was
down.
Oil getting hit hard here.
yeah,
Fill up tomorrow or tonight or something.
yeah.
You don't plug in that Porsche downstairs, do you?
Do not.
The floor is lava. You seen that show? Someone out there.
That's a great show.
My kids used to watch that. What a scam that show is.
Great show.
Coffee time.
Why is it a
I would
scam?
love a coffee. It's fake, that show, isn't it? They're not. Those aren't. that's
But
not
all
real.
those reality shows are.
No, they're not. That Floor's Lava one is fake.
I mean, come
All
on.
those reality shows are fake.
Okay, maybe not every single, but almost all reality
Yeah,
competition
if it
shows
was really
have.
lava, that would be the best.
Of course, it's not actual love.
No, but I think those are actors and everything that are on there because those people actually can't. You're telling me that they can't make those jumps and they delay all that stuff.
Dude, the
Come
best.
on, man, it's a kid
No,
show.
also, when you watch it, they're sitting there.
What is
It's a kid
SoFi
show,
doing?
but they're timing them. You have to get out of it as fast as possible. Yet
Right.
like one
they're just
person will
ho-humming
wait
it.
for the other person
And these
to
are
go.
like pro
Yeah.
athletes.
No, it's an entertainment show, but that's what a lot of reality TV is. That people, if you're doing a competition show on reality TV, you know the competitions are going to have a certain element of, hey, you're supposed to do this,
That
make
would-
sure you're
that would-
talking, blah blah blah, all that stuff. So it is what it is. I think it's a fun show.
It's a fun show.
I just love it when people bail hard. Those are the most fun.
Floor is
Uh,
lava.
Yeah, I don't know. My daughter loves it, so I'll take what I can get.
Random. Worth noting, we did get CPI here on this side of the border at 8:30 there, and wow, contraction, negative 0.4% on the month-over-month print there. So 1.6% Canadian inflation is at now for the month of September. 1.6. Consensus was 1.8. Forecast was 2 flat. So we go all the way down to 1.6%. If you take out energy and food, core inflation, dead flat on the month-over-month number. The overall year-over-year, same story, 1.6% CPI reading.
Is it me or like, do you feel like this as well, that we're getting conflicting economic data from Canada? Like last week we got the better expected jobs print.
40,000 it was, yeah.
And they were all full-time jobs that we added. We lost part-time jobs, so it was not a bad look there.
Yeah.
And then we get this kind of week, because this is reflective of demand, right?
Yeah.
So it's a little interesting because we keep hearing this doomsday story, but it's not manifesting in the way that people are talking.
Yeah, I just saw a number of people saying 50 basis points maybe on the next BOC meeting.
Okay.
I mean, they need to accelerate, obviously, the cutting process here. I just seen Wolf popping up here. WOLF, we'll look into that one coming up. But yeah, not good on this side of the border, guys, for inflation.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm not. At the end of the day,
1.6%, that's great, no?
that feels pretty solid to me. But I'm not going to complain about it. But at the end of the day,
started the cutting cycle.
do we matter that much? We cut earlier, right? So, I mean, the Bank of Canada cut earlier, which was true of a lot of central banks. But that's as far as I'll go. Because I was actually looking at Wolf just now. A couple people were mentioning this one in the chat here. Up about 29 and change. It looks to me, let me just double check what the float is. Because it's a huge short. It's like a 31% short float. So big short float on this one. And the float is 125 million. So that's a pretty decent size. But it's a short story here for Wolf. And it just bounced off of VWAP. 14. Of course it bounced off 1420. Like, I feel like those numbers, it is what it is. 1420 was a level in the pre-market. 1420 was also VWAP in here. But bouncing back off of VWAP, this should be one to monitor. I find with these ones that, these short float names or these gap and runners, a lot of times if you want to look for it at the open and you play strength off the open, I think I want to see it bouncing higher lows even if it's made a top already once, which it clearly has above 15, at least it's making some higher lows in an overall trend. When you're starting to give it all the way back, I think you got to wait until the middle of the day to have a look at this. So I'd probably add this to the list of like this and DJT, list of things that are running that I'll be at least watching today. Wolf and DJT, both super strong. This up 30% here. So good look for, I don't know, Hungry Like the Wolf. That was a good song from the 80s.
Yeah, that's a good one. Still looking at SoFi breaking above $10 now and holding. So SoFi hit that $10 mark there in the close yesterday and kind of just hovered there all afternoon, and we weren't able to do much with it. But yesterday we had a great long down here at 950, and the thing is, it bounced off the 200 period moving average, right? And so right now that 200 period is sitting at $10. SoFi for me is a long if we can get back into $10. I'm actually in the midst of probably putting this on the sticky note right now. Just looking for a couple more ideas before we go. Bank earnings strong. SoFi. When do they report much later, I believe. Hold on a second. SoFi. Earnings date October the 29th. Okay, so it's 2 weeks today. So, all right, so it's coming through. Nice little breakout there for SoFi, as you can see here as we continue to look at it. If you go over to a weekly chart here for SoFi, then you'll see there's still tons of room to the upside here if this name wants to break out. I was actually looking at this the other day. I'm long SoFi. We're in the money now, finally, on this name, but it's been a minute, so we're going to have to wait to see if we can get back going. I was debating selling. I mean, here's $10. We were here for about a month or so back, February, March, April, May of 2022, back into there, and then we sort of double topped it back here then over the last 2 years, and now trying to get going again. So another strong earnings report. I think SoFi can hold 10 and maybe get back. What level is this here? 15s? Yeah, 15s maybe? 15, 16. So yeah, SoFi right now looking pretty good. For those of you talking about it in the chat, I like SoFi here. So there you go. A look on that one. Maybe SoFi holding $10. If it breaks out, if it breaks below it, we can get out. So I feel like that's a really safe play. We had SoFi early yesterday in the morning. And as you remember, I just want to show you why I'm probably not going to get in right now. Yesterday, again, look where it was, opened up, fell in pretty good. So let's not get too crazy with getting long here. Let's let it settle down. We'll have those imbalances come through, but SoFi here at $10 looks good as an alternative to these big banks.
All right, Wolfspeed, $750 million in funding coming through from the CHIPS Act, so directly from the CHIPS Act. $750 million. I mean, it's not a small company. It's $1.8 billion in market cap. So, I mean, still more than half their
absolutely
worth at this point. So good luck, though, for Wolf. Tons of volume behind this move at this point, heading through to day highs as well. A data company, Wolfspeed.
Yeah, I couldn't really see the specifics of what they were going to give them, but here it is. They expect $1 billion in Section 48D cash tax refunds. That's in addition to the $750 million that they're getting specifically from the CHIPS Act. So we'll have to watch out on how they do. But I see here that they're wide band gap semiconductors. Brendo, there's just too much stuff in tech here to wrap my mind around. So specific. So it's up 30% here. Definitely going to be on my watch today on the How to Trade midday show.
Yeah, I mean, definitely active, that's for sure, here in the pre-market, especially at 8:44 in the morning. Too much. Here's Bitcoin, meanwhile. A few people mentioning this as well. 66 ends up being a bit of a line in the sand as of yesterday. September 28th was that last high when we got back up here. But hanging out here, guys, just below this high. Once again, do we get through today, possibly?
Ooh, it'd be nice if we could, and got to watch out for Coinbase if that's the case. One last thing on Wolf, because I didn't pull up the daily chart, and I think it's a little bit constructive because we talk about these names that have been sort of trending to the downside and then make your consolidation. It's actually breaking out on the daily above the 50 period. So it's a big gap up, but you do have that 1420 does sort of align with, I think, some prior resistance here at the 14 even mark. So that's a key level to hold on to. I'll get that out of the way. Coin was an absolute rocket ship yesterday. The concern I would have is, okay, well, if you're backing off this high at that 66, and we are putting in some lower highs, maybe consolidation, 64 is a pretty key level. It wouldn't surprise me if you lost 65, just as the market cools it down a tad bit. And coin was so ridiculously strong. MSTR had a day like this on Friday, and then we all saw what happened to it. Like it just dropped and dropped and dropped. So coin's down the 1%. I feel as if it fails to break through the 198 high, you could have a bit of a pullback day. But interestingly enough, it's so strong. I kind of lean back over to like Mara in this 17 area. Like it broke away big as well, didn't follow through lower highs. Trying to short it in the afternoon, and then it didn't go until right at the end of the day. But I'm looking at these prior highs in Mara. If we're not gonna, if we're not gonna test that high, and if there is some weakness in crypto, I want to have some reversal plays in here. I feel as if MSTR kind of went too far already. Mara has a nice level that it put in the afternoon at that third mark, so that can be on watch for me. But that's when I want to. I want to sit out the first 30 minutes, I think, or at least the first 10, 15. Make sure that, hey, we're not breaking away to the upside because you did have support at this price. I want to make sure that we're at least losing this higher low and working to a trend down. Could flat bottom break, but if that's the case, I'll probably have missed the trade because I want to look at other things. I feel like at 8:30 or 9:30, it's going to be for me Apple and Tesla and AMD right away. Sprinkle in a little Schwab that I want to have on. So tomorrow I'm going to come back. If it's losing this 1730, then I want to be playing shorts for a retracement day here. It's relatively weak on the daily chart as well, so I feel like that bodes well if there is any kind of selling in crypto.
All right, so I was just looking at this. And look, for me, Bitcoin is pretty simple what just happened. I mean, I can't, you wouldn't think that like something that was $66,000 would bounce basically at the exact same spot a month later. And I mean, this is September, this is a 15-minute chart. So this is September 27th, so it's not exactly a month. But right into there, that was 66.4. And then yesterday or a couple days ago, Monday the 14th, 66.4 again, right there, and then fell through. So once we break that, which I think is going to happen probably today, right off the open, maybe even, then I think that you can use that as a base and go long off of that. So if you're looking at Bitcoin or IBIT or anything like that, I have the IBIT chart underneath this. I think Bitcoin continues to work here. And it's not just because I'm holding Bitcoin, but I would really want to see this. Like, let's see a break there. If we can go, then fantastic through the 73,000. But look at it holding, really consolidating now, getting ready to break out, and is what I think is going to happen. I mean, we'll see what does happen here. I'm a little nervous about it because I don't really think it should be ripping on, Donald Trump possibly being the next president. And there's betting sites you could have for all of this. First of all, Nvidia just made a decent move down. I don't know if it was a couple wicks there. Hold on a second. Anyways, what I was getting with Bitcoin is that I think you have to like it for what it is and not for necessarily who's leading in the polls. Yeah, I guess Nvidia, it wasn't a major move down. It just kind of went into 136.60 there. Yeah, I guess it wasn't that much. It was a little bit of volume, I thought. It looked like it was trading a little more rapido than it was right there. Okay, we do have a guest coming up very, very soon. So I'll just wait for Fabian to give me the okay. Apple didn't do anything. I want to check out on AMD as well right now, just to see if everything was okay in chip land. All right, so yeah, so it looks like there is a little bit of a pushback here in some of the chips. I mean, AMD, ever since that, report their G12035, something like that, just basically competing with Blackwell right now, and Blackwell's old, so that's going to be a problem for them. AMD continues to be second dog and second fiddle. But, this week, TSM coming through, ASML coming through. There's going to be some tea leaves here on some of these stocks that are going to tell us and give us what's been good here and what to expect on these chip reports. Like this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, basically 11 or so days in a row of upside with one little doji star candle. For all you technicians there, that didn't work because it opens up the next day and goes higher. So if that meant it turned it around, but it does not there at 185, and now TSM right here, right now, guys, Brendan and Sharif, I guess, taking out those highs, Neil. But there it goes, TSM highs, Broadcom highs, Nvidia poking its head above that 140 could happen any minute. So, yeah, lots of good stuff here.
It's a bull market, and if you think that it's not a bull market, then you also think that Aaron Rodgers didn't fumble the ball last night. Let's go back to the desk.
Just seeing a note here on TGT.
Oh.
Didn't actually move on this, but Target going to be the official store of the Taylor Swift Eras Tour book. I don't know how I feel about that, but TJT worth or TGT, I should say, worth a note here this morning. Let's talk about something more exciting here. DJT also just popped up in front of me on a volume scanner. 3250 trying to hold here was the initial spike support on the pullback before we dip below it, but yeah, that doesn't lie. 8.8%, 3 days in a row here for DJT.
Yeah, it's been big, Brendo. It's up aggressively yesterday. It's up aggressively today. I just want to give you some data points here. So, risen 18% on Monday, up 86% the last month alone. The past week, it's 37% likely due to the increasing odds of Donald Trump taking the upcoming election separately. There was some interesting headlines coming out. I was talking to Sean about it this morning. So my brokerage, which is IBKR, allowed me to actually get a futures contract that I could get bet on the election. And that's raising the ire of a lot of people down south because they're looking actually at speeding up the lawsuit against that into the appellate courts to try to stop it. Yeah. Because I was like really shocked. I'm like, I don't even have to go on DraftKings or FanDuel or anything. It's literally on my brokerage, a futures contract based on the outcome of the election. So looks like that may not be for that long.
I mean, there's other ways, I guess you could go about doing it as well if you wanted to put your money to work, but this has definitely been a good one so far, guys. DJT once again today marching higher.
Yeah, it was double digits. It's now only up 9%. So it's pulling back a little bit there. Oh, we got to reload. I vote for Randy for Prime Minister, President, and pretty much everything in between. Thank you, brother. Always appreciate you.
Right,
and plus, too, he knows that ribs are better than turkey, that's important.
Yeah, I don't think there's not too much question for that one, I don't think.
Oh, goodness.
Even Marissa's like, oh, Sean, you said you don't like turkey. I'm like, I like turkey, but it's not my favorite. The ribs for Thanksgiving is a very unique take. I like it. I mean, ribs for everything.
I love ribs.
It was a family decision.
Any day of the week.
I wasn't complaining.
So, family decisions. Those are the best ones.
Oh, yeah.
You can't lose that.
4 racks of ribs.
Oh, yeah.
Like just,
See, my daughter prefers, we had roast beef, but like she would vastly prefer ribs to roast beef, like not even close. Like, I love roast beef, with horseradish on there, like I'm a huge fan, but ribs.
Ribs, roll up your sleeves and get going.
It's a little cold to barbecue for me though. But DJT is barbecuing up shorts right now. Although ours are still, what's interesting is here at Real Trading, like at no point during this move has the cost of locates gone up for us. Usually if a stock goes from like $13 to $33 and it's got a short float, you would see like an increase in demand and then therefore it would cost a little bit more for us to get locates. But that's just not the case. We're still paying a fraction of a cent. I think it's 1/7 of something like that, like 1/7 of 1 cent here at Real Trading, which basically means there's no real reason not, if you're going to trade it, not to have the locate to give you the flexibility. Feels like we're headed, I mean, now that you're through $30, it does feel like we're headed for this 38 area as the next step into the upside. You gapped through, unfortunately, you gapped away from this breakout, which was just underneath the $30 level. I could see that coming back in as like a 30 key hold this morning. I don't like it. For these types of names, I feel like it's easier when you have a consolidation break there or like a hold of a prior high. Consolidation break, like those setups are a little bit easier than when it's just sitting in the middle of the gap and then you're trying to play guesswork. So there's no consolidation to do. I think it's usually what happens is it'll gap up, give you some kind of a consolidation or run, give you a consolidation kind of day. The last time it gapped up, it was essentially the entirety of the pre-market range. Like look at it, it ramped up and then you just pull right back into low. So the only level I'm looking at that isn't 30 is going to be that pre-market low because that's what happened last time. It held the pre-market high, it held the pre-market low, so trading off of that is what you wanted to do here in DJT.
All right, we got a super chat about 10 minutes ago here. Josh Raposo wants to know if Yang is worth the swing. So what's up, Yang? Yang is the 3 times bear ETF for China stocks, right? So this is a large cap 3 times China bear ETF. And as you can see here, as China was ripping the last 3 weeks or so, on stimulus action, this name really fell hard, right? So 3 times the move. So we went from 9 down here to 3, and even lower. We got as low as 250. Wow, on that one. Some of these ETFs are just absolutely insane. But the question here from Josh was is it worth a swing? I mean, honestly, yeah. I mean, if you're going to swing trade, I mean, we got that yesterday at 9:45. We got that news there of the stimulus coming through. I shorted it up there. It's FXI's on. Oh, yeah, I got to post a sticky note. FXI is here on the note here today. I like the short again. I just think that if that stimulus is not as prominent as what they were hoping for, you know, then we should be able to get this move. Obviously, we were right? It was going short there. Stimulus happened. We went long down here with going short on FXI, and that created this boost to the upside right now. So you're starting to go. So for me, Josh, I mean, I think you might have hit something here. It's 3 times, so be careful. But the key word you said was swing. So, I mean, you're up 9%. I don't think the momentum's stopping anytime soon. You still have some nice shelves up here. Like if you're trying to go from 350 to 450, I think that could happen. That could happen today. So, yeah, I really like Yang here. So I think thank you for that super chat. And I think you're onto something. Ying is the other one. So if you want to go the other way, it'll be more expensive. Ying. Okay, I don't know. I have to look that one up. I'm not sure why that didn't hit. YANG. Are they NASDAQ names? No, okay. YNN. Yeah, there's another one. We'll find it for you in a minute. YINN.
Oh, it is? Yeah, it is.
Look at this. See, she has it over there. Thank you, Adara. There it is. Much more expensive. Yin. So there it is. So YINN. All right. Adara's there over on over at the screen.
Advanced Auto Parts kicking off the upgrades here, up almost 3% here with this nod from Wedbush. Stevens giving Valvoline the nod here. We have Duke Energy up about 0.5%. We know energy and utilities names have been on watch here. This one getting the upgrade from Mizuho. Last but not least, on the upgrade side, Evercore ISI upgrading Bausch & Lomb. So contact lens solution here for the upgrades. We're actually Boeing to the upside right now on a couple of different financing related pieces of news, including a $25 billion mixed shelf offering they filed for. But BA also getting a downgrade from DZ Bank this morning. Enphase being downgraded by RBC Capital Markets. Etsy down about 4% in this Goldman Sachs downgrade. And last but not least, Mobileye. We know this one's been beaten up a bit over the last few weeks. Now adding insult to injury, RBC Capital Markets downgrading this name. Guys, what a list.
I feel I could be wrong with this. I felt like didn't Mobileye get like an upgrade or something the other day?
People were very nervous about Adara wearing all red, and they didn't get to see that for the first time until now.
Yeah.
And you know she needs to pre-warn us. But the Nasdaq right now, there she goes again.
Flat.
See, now you get to see her again in that red. Nasdaq is flat right now.
The chips are down.
But you were talking about Mobileye.
Well, Mobileye was up for a couple of days in a row here. And I feel like I could be wrong about this. I thought on Friday it got an upgrade or something like that. I'd have to double check, but it was a strong runner on Friday. Essentially can't get past $13. Now you slap a downgrade on that. Like it looked like this was making a bit of a bottom just last week, and all of a sudden, look, the 50 period's a story here. Look at it ride the 50 period. The last time it rode the 50 period, it lost it, flat bottom broke, and got cut in half. Now you've made a higher low, and you're riding the 50 period on the daily again. This just feels like let it close above that 50 period. If it can do that, then you've got to play into $15, maybe 16. But so far, yeah, I mean, it doesn't look all that great. The 50 period lines up with about 13.25. So I think that that level's right. Like in here, 13 to 13.25 is sort of like a short on Mobileye. And then if it gets through 30, you got yourself a breakout play. But the upgrades, downgrades, who cares? Like one day they're upgrading, the next day they're downgrading it. You know, just rely on the price action. Let's go to the desk. We've got a guest for the morning.
And there he is, Mitch Hoke, joining us for the first time from Trade the Pool on the show. Good morning, Mitch. How are you?
Good morning to you guys. How we doing? I'm ready to get to the trading action. Excited for another day.
A lot to talk about this morning. I wanted to mention Boeing there, just popping up in front of me on a downtick. I was looking at Apple here as well, just made it through that high as well. But let's touch on Boeing here, more negativity surrounding Boeing once again today, having to raise some capital. We were touching on it a little bit yesterday. This strike costing them $1 billion a month. So, they're going to run out pretty quickly here. What are your thoughts on this stock?
Yeah, we've been talking about Boeing the whole time and really kind of led into the strike, of course. And I've talked about how that would just cause more delays on the deliveries, right? Which were there already have many delays, right? And companies are looking to get their planes, but if they're not working, planes ain't coming anytime soon. And it looks to me like their only way out of this is to go ahead and give in to labor agreements, right? So this is actually a play that I'd be looking towards getting towards the bottom, right? And as we keep going into more negativity, I could see a change in that labor situation, really maybe causing a spike right back. And industrials are not looking too bad. So if they can hang on here, I definitely do like industrials right now, especially in the farm and heavy construction space. But of course, Boeing is a negative space right and now in the industrial space.
Overall, the market still holding on to positivity here. It's been all about tech. It's been all about same old, right? I mean, Nvidia leading the way here, AI specifically, but Apple and the NASDAQ, it's worth mentioning, has been a little bit of a laggard here, getting the last one to get back to all-time highs. Just in general, is there an area in the tech space you're looking at today?
Yeah, so for today, I'd be keeping an eye on Tesla and AMD, right? We've gone through the buy the rumor and sell the news events. I feel like that was a classic play. And now you start to take a look. Did investors actually like both of these events, right? I think that now that you've played out a little bit, you've gone sideways now, and I'll be watching to see if Tesla can get a rebound, especially if we can stay in this positive vibe. We're on a breakout to the upside right now. Of course, Tesla and AMD are not taking part. They're going against the market. Let's see if that comes back into tune today and we finally find some bottoming in Tesla and AMD.
From a macro standpoint here, I mean, 4.25% right now. I'm just keeping my eye on oil, trying to bounce a little bit back off $70, yeah. But huge move downside on some headlines, which, I mean, overall, let's be honest, maybe moving in the right direction as far as the Middle East is concerned, but some of these energy names taking it on the head this morning.
Definitely, and it's going to be tough space, right? Because this is that headline risk type of trade, right? You don't know which way it's going to go. You don't know if there's going to be an expansion in the Middle East, or will the production just continue to rise, right? You're getting sides, both sides trying to knock oil down, and then one side maybe causing a supply spike, right? I think this is a stay away trade, right? Because the truth is there's too much risk on both sides. I love swing trading, and I can tell you right now, no positions on an oil, even though I see potential reward, there's also that big potential of risk. Now, where I do see interest rates playing in, and just to bring a different play in here, is maybe look at the housing plays, like Redfin that's been pulling back, coming back to the 9 EMA on the daily, Zillow, those types of plays, right? We are cutting rates and looking at cutting rates further down the line. And even though if it's not as aggressive, that's still making these plays look more attractive now.
And we've seen on that note as well, I mean, banks continue to impress the past couple of days here with earnings reports coming through. From a trading standpoint, intraday, not the most exciting, but give me your thoughts on the financial space.
Yeah, I actually look at today as being a kind of maybe potential blow off top in these banks. They have a tendency of getting that run into earnings, getting that pop. And then, of course, we get these kind of later in the banks. Right now, the earnings all look great. Of course, they've already had these kind of big pops. You can see them on the daily. It's been, 3-4 days leading into this. So at this point, I start taking a look at hourly highs to see if we just make these blow off tops and looking for quick shorts, right? Of course, day trade action, wouldn't want to stay short swing. But today, I think is one of those days where you look at the resistance, see if we make a quick pop out the gates and then come right back washing through those levels.
Great to be back in earnings season regardless. We'll get into, Netflix later in the week and then more tech names to come the next couple of weeks here. Great stuff. Anything else catching your eye here in the pre-market?
Yeah, man, I always got some plays. I'm always looking at plays right now. I was just in a recent play with Picard, swing, of course, Deer and Cat looking good. Trump supporting Cat. I definitely think these are plays to watch. Watch for Deer to maybe get through that 420 area. Then another one that I have right now, full disclosure, do have a swing trade on it. Workday, take a look at that setup. I really do like the setup here. A couple of highs now coming back, big long trend line to come back. And of course, if tech can stay in good terms right now, I think you could get this to go higher. And then of course, 50% retracement for that China trade is an area that I'll be looking to see if BABA can get back towards like 100. And then we can maybe catch that 50% retracement. Always a good level to look for. And of course, a nice sweet spot, 50 to that 61.6. Of course, getting into kind of your golden mean is an area that I'll be watching in the China trade.
Yeah, wild. Past couple of weeks for all of those ADRs. Great stuff. Mitch Hoke, best of luck today.
Love it, guys. Check out, of course, Trade the Pool, guys.
Thanks a lot there, Mitch. And
Sean, yeah.
love the analysis and absolutely love Caterpillar. Look, I love Caterpillar too, so you're my dog if you like some cat right there. But interestingly enough, Redfin, you mentioned Redfin, and I love mean reversion trades. Now, obviously, you're catching this off the 50 bounce, you're catching it off a $10 bounce, but the other thing that you're doing here is you get this like pullback in what was an uptrend, still working a higher low, and then broke the trend yesterday. So broke the trend line, closed above. You can see the wick down here. That's the rejection of the 50 period. Managed to close out and about and above that prior high. So it kind of tested back in, found support where resistance once was, and then there's your breakout of that trend line. So a continuation on that kind of plays back, even underneath like 11, like into 1080. To the $11 level today. I like that Redfin, but yeah, you can't go wrong with Caterpillar. And, you know, I feel as if, you know, Trump likes Caterpillar, but there are a few things that I don't think you have to worry about on whichever side wins. And that's why I like some of the industrials here, specifically Caterpillar, because that's the one I own. It's making a bit of a consolidation off of this top. So you're seeing a few rejections on higher lows every time it makes a fresh high. In here, you've been sort of consolidating back in, but holding on to that prior April top every single time. So every dip is holding on to the mid-80s, at least for now. If it can do that, I think you get another break of the high. My only concern would be if it does lose the support at 80, then you're waiting. I mean, I don't know. Like, it's what I would do. The prior level is going to be 360 or so, and that 250 period moving average has been a good one. The 200 period, however, has been the gold standard on CAT. It gets down to that price. It's an automatic buy for myself. But for now, you got to watch for that consolidation. Mid 380s, call it 385 or so, has been support for a couple of weeks here on Caterpillar, and that's where you want to trade off.
Yeah, good. It was great having Mitch on there. Hopefully we'll be able to get him on more. Yeah, look at XLI. I mean, we talked about buying some ETFs, and this is the industrial ETF. So you're looking at Deere, Caterpillar, I mean, many different names there. GE, I mean, it just continues to make new highs. I mean, this has been an absolute rocket ship all year. So, I mean, this is 112 up to 140. So, you know, 30% or maybe a little less than that, 25%, straight to the upside. Now straight to the upside. Did have a big consolidation here throughout the spring and summer, but yeah, recently there into the election, into a no recession right now and a possible soft landing. Industrials continue to work in that environment. So there it goes. I mean, what an awesome opportunity there to get involved in an ETF that doesn't have too much risk, holds all the big names, and XLI continues to break out. So yeah, look, thanks for that coming through. I like the Zillow talk, the Redfin, a little bit of different opportunities there. We talked about the big banks. We talked about some SoFi as well. I think there's a lot of opportunities. This market is not a Mag 7 market. I mean, sure, they're leading the way. You know, it's kind of like Nvidia 4 or 5 years ago. We can call up the charts, you know, or a little bit less than that. It was $11 or $12. It's $140. I mean, there's going to be situations like this. Meta was $250, now $600. You know, Netflix now over $700. Some of these names continue to impress, but there are so much underlying strength. Vernova there, some of the utilities, although getting hit right now, you can pick up some value there. We've talked about the TD Bank there yesterday on negative stories. Coinbase has been moving around. Bitcoin continues to be hot, hitting around 65,000, 66 wants to hold that. I mean, that's all-time highs, right? I mean, if we're going to talk about Bitcoin being at 66, its all-time high is 73. Yeah. I mean, it's not too much difference. And I look at Apple moving, and I look at Uber right now at $85. Like ARM, Palantir, even Disney's trying to hold $95. I'm just trying to look at the list here. every stock I look at seems to have had a nice little run. Intel's back to 24 now.
Crazy stat. This month, Intel, I believe, is percentage-wise up the most for the chips. That said, because it's so cheap, it moves. It's a lot easier.
Really?
Well, you know what? I read it in an article, and I didn't double-check it. They were listing.
I think Nvidia's up 10% in the last week.
It was basically, well, I mean, Intel's.
Oh yeah, 115.
Its low is so low, and when a stock gets cut from like $50 to like $18, you have to understand, like when you go down that far, it's easier for it to make a big percentage move up. For Nvidia to go 10%, it takes a lot for Nvidia to go 10%. For Intel to go 10%, it shouldn't take much of anything here. But yeah, so stronger names out there in a general sense, in my opinion. Like ARM, when you point out that chart of TSM, ARM, same thing. There was like one tiny little red day in the last 3 weeks, I think, on ARM. And that's 155 or
cheap
something.
stocks are good stocks in this environment because they've battled through the rates. Now they've got Fed on their side. That's why you're seeing stocks like that SoFi, like Robinhood started a lot earlier than this. Stocks like Clover, Teladoc. There's some good stocks out there that you can buy on the cheap. I mean, we talked about ARK. ARK is even moving around. So
ARK was breaking on the daily. We're mentioning that in the aftermarket show. Like ARKK looking pretty darn good. You can't draw these nice little bull flags on breakouts for just the regular Mag 7 and the names that we're more accustomed to. It's happening all over the place.
And then, of course, you know, DJT. GME as well, GameStop right here, someone in the chat. I mean, that's not doing much actually at 21.50. That's another name that could go, you know, with some decent news and maybe if there's another post or so. But oh yeah, actually,
something did
21 all the way up to 22 and back in now.
Oh, here it is.
What happened?
GameStop to become authorized professional sports authenticator, division deal, yada yada yada, for trading carts.
I think they
trading
make
carts.
They make cards.
Okay, so trading carts makes cards. So yeah, so there's a deal with trading carts. So GameStop actually did go $1 and back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Immediately back.
Let's get into that watch list. Talk a little bit about what's moving today and get some trades lined up.
All right, guys, 59.08. That's where we closed out yesterday night on the ES December contract. That's another all-time high. Blue sky setup from here. We have the overnight high of 59.15, but that's very close to where we're trading right now. So first of all, we're looking at holding 5,900. That doesn't hold. We're looking at 58.50 as support. If we do hold 5,900, it's a blue sky setup. Your guess is as good as mine.
Lots to talk about here this morning. If you haven't done so, make sure you jump down to the description of this video right now. There's a link there for the watch list, absolutely free. All you need is an email address, and we send everything you need to know every single day in the pre-market right to your inbox. 234 trying to hold here. We just double checked. 237 and change is going to be all-time highs for Apple. A couple of notes this morning. One of them, the previous version of the iPhone selling record amounts in Q3, which, oh, by the way, also has the new AI features included in it. This as well was kind of cool. You just picked up a brand new iPad. Here's the new iPad mini powered with the A17 Pro chip and Apple Intelligence as well. So iPad's also getting the AI touch. Yeah, the A17 is a good chip. That was on the main iPad, the Pro a couple of generations ago. Now we're talking about the M2 chip. The previous one had the M1. But Apple, you know, we heard a lot about, you know, the 16 not doing as well. Barclays came out last week or the week prior to that and said, you know, we're not going to do as well. It's not going to be a super cycle. The consumers tapped out. They don't have money, this, that, and the other. Well, 18% share increase in smartphone sales, sharing that with Samsung. Apple was able to increase their market share by 1%, while Samsung's contracted 3% year over year. The report is that the iPhone 16 series significantly contributed, Brendo, to Apple's Q3 sales success. So we'll have to see how it does. And explains why we might actually see lower iPhone 16 sales if you can just go buy the cheaper one. Makes a lot of sense, guys.
That absolutely makes sense. But Apple, look, Apple is with a stone's throw away from that all-time high, 237.23. That's a great number. I like it. I like that 23 cents there. But Apple yesterday, you had the breakout. It was a clean break through 30, and then it was a test of the prior resistance level. And once it held on to that, that was actually a better move than the original breakout trade. If you look at, I've drawn you the line here, but if you go back even further, here's 233 and change. So resistance, resistance, resistance. It's clear on the daily as well. It's a clear triple top here on that daily chart to get to the high. So that sets up, the resistance was at 33, the dip. As long as we're over 33, long continuation play in Apple. So the first level is 33. I don't know at the moment when we're going over these charts that you're going to end up all the way at 234.25 at this point. But as long as we're holding that 33, I want to be buying dips. Whether or not we get them, you can't know. If there's any kind of like dip, reversal off of like VWAP, which is halfway at the $0.50 mark, or the 33, then that's what I'm going to be playing on Apple. Just looking long until we get to the last dollar within that all-time high, which is 237.23. So it worked as long yesterday a couple of times, with the dip actually being better than the breakout. We're looking for the dip first today.
Yeah, we was looking at our sticky note here as well. We have a pretty easy play on it. I think you have to. I really like Apple because you can use bigger shares. You don't have to run away from it. I don't even really have a price. I just think that 233 is what it is. But just you need to get long and you need to stay long. So that's basically what I wrote down here today with this trade. Dig into the long. These solid iPhone reports. I think we can get to 233 for sure. Then we might be breaking out that 235 for the next move higher. So I think there's a break possibility here for Apple to get through this 235. And I think it's worth hitting. So it's not even like it's anything on the daily. We talked about its all-time high is 237.23 right into here. So we'll see if we can get up to that level. But at the end of the day, I'm just looking at even dollar breaks, and like 235 is the next even dollar. So that to me is a break. Here's 233. We've already come from there today. It's the 200 period moving average. You guys know I trade off that all the time. So that's going to be another big trade. We had Apple here yesterday. So I like the stock. We had Apple right there yesterday at 228, 229, something like that. And then now there it goes today. So I like the stock. I think it's a long, and I think we got to wait for 233. I'm already bidding 233.50, but again, these imbalances are going to come out at 925, so we'll be able to see what's going on right now. So Apple all-time highs with a question mark? Yes, would be my answer to that.
All right, let's go on to Boeing. A few to get through here as we head towards the open. It was pretty wild when this first came out, but has calmed down. They're going to raise some capital. As this strike lingers on, we were talking with Mitch there briefly about that, in the sense that, $1 billion a month price tag on this strike. They're going to have to pay for that somehow, and operations as well.
And they're looking at doing it two ways, Brendo. So they're going to get about a $10 billion line of credit that's going to be supported by Bank of America and some other banks there. But in addition to that, they want to raise new capital to the tune of about $25 billion. They already have an offering on their books right now that allows them to raise another $10 billion. They want to add more on top of that $25 billion to raise even more over the next 3 years. We'll have to see when they announce that. But this company has not turned a profit since 2018, and they have about $45 billion in debt that they need to be able to finance. So, tough look.
Yeah, I just zoomed out here on a daily chart, it's hard to see, but down here, if you look at all the earnings reports, there's 1, 2, 3 of the last, call it 9, that were green. So they haven't even beaten versus miss. In the last 9, there was 3. So that gives you a bit of a story as well.
I can hear the good under the breath there. No, Boeing, the good news for Boeing, though, and there is a silver lining here, it's up 1% today. And I think sometimes when you start to have a positive reaction to what might not always be positive or good circumstances, that can be good for the stock. So it made a bottom 146. Obviously, that's not very good. It lost the 150 level. But we're right back above the 150, which was resistance yesterday. So at a dime, it got to 150 and turned. I like 151.5. I think that's an over-under level here for Boeing. If it can hold above 151.5, I like the recovery story for Boeing, at least till you get to 155. The big break on Boeing is going to be when it takes, if it takes out the 50 period in the $160 level. That'll be the big one. But for today, over under 151.5. The fact that it's even up 1% in the midst of an offering here, and still the ongoing issues with the strike, I think that can bode at least a little bit well. But you lose that 150, all bets are off here on Boeing. It's kind of an easy over under that 151.5 because it's been resistance for 2 days in a row.
I'll just go over it quickly because we don't have Tesla on the board. I don't think Tesla's going to move, but there's a lot of traders that are always looking at this name. And I mean, we do get big moves off the open. And yesterday we had that 214 that came into play, the exact same level that hit the day before on Tesla. Now, I don't think there's any reason for this to happen today. I don't know if there was one yesterday either, but it still happened. So down into that area, 214, 215 for Tesla. But I would actually think that because the market's going to be flat here today, we don't really have any news happening right now. A lot of focus going to be on Nvidia and Apple reaching these highs. I think Tesla could be a little undercover here, and I think 217 or something, if we dip in for Tesla, could be a play there. And then, as Mitch was also saying, you know, Tesla and AMD are going to have to put up or shut up at some point. So, you know, you are probably going to get a move back up there. I'd have that bad wick on there for Tesla. So I would think that 221 on a break, you know, you try to clear this gap at some point. That's a big gap. That's up to 240, but you're going to have to get 225 in order to fill that gap. So that's 225 right there. I don't know if we get to that today or at 220, but $5 on Tesla is a snap, especially when the momentum gets going, right? And so for me, I'd rather play dips. So for the levels I'd be looking at, this maybe started at 218 where we were this morning, but I like that 217 level in case there's a problem. So 217 on Tesla, probably worth looking at, or that break of 224, 225. You got to look at it seriously if it gets up to there.
Quickly, Chinese ADRs downside, as we were mentioning, across the board here, although we're starting to get back to session highs here. Some data overnight on the export side of things coming out of China, missing expectations. We also got that, again, we haven't seen any kind of confirmation, 6 trillion number on the stimulus side of things yesterday. Seemed to not impress anyone. I mean, the uncertainty surrounding this stimulus continues at this point until we hear otherwise.
Yeah, exactly. You took the words out of my mouth, Brendo. Uncertainty about the quantum and exactly how it's going to get executed. We know it's 2 regions that they want to focus on. The property sector helping prop that up, as well as taking care of some of the local government debt. Other than that, we don't have more information. We just know the quantum, and we'll have to watch how it develops.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting back into some significant levels here, as Mitch was mentioning as well, watching Alibaba guys, maybe a little bit lower still.
Yeah, well, you just had that daily chart up showing that prior high on the daily. Maybe that's something that can come into play. But first things first, $100 would have to get there on BABA, right? So that's a big psychological level. I think, look, 111, it didn't get to 111. I was in early, and it never really got there. The prior close is where this one ended up checking out, which was at 110. So now you got 106 support. I like support turning into resistance and vice versa. So 106 up top, even if it breaks it, then the close price of 108 fades on BABA. If you get to 100, then I'll look long, but only at that $100 level. There's really no other levels down there. If you break 100, there's like 92 on the daily. So you just try to play it station by station. But 106, prior close, want to be fading some pops on BABA.
All right, yesterday we played FXI, and FXI today is going to be on the sticky note again. FXI was a really good play. We got burned early because we had that news come through with the yuan here, and I just want to say FXI 32. We had a huge short play yesterday. I think it still is a short there, but it's moving upside now as the market goes. Yesterday we shorted, and I'll show you what we were doing. We had FXI written down on yesterday's sticky note. We can go have a look, and this is what was doing early. So we were short here. And then all of a sudden, that 6 billion yuan announcement boomed it to the upside. Then we found this 3260, 3270 area, and we shorted against there. That's the level at 33, sorry. 3350 is what we wrote down on the sticky note yesterday to go short. We got a gift when it ripped up into that level. So that's exactly what happened. We put on a big position there, biggest position for me and FX I've had, and then it fell back in. So that was really nice. Nice move back into that level, 3270. And to have that short on today would be really great. We have to close our positions here every night, and nor would I be holding this anyways overnight. But there it goes here into the downside again. So let's see if we can watch this 200 period moving average. Right there, there's Randy. Hey, Randy, what's going on? Yeah, there he is. There goes Andre as well.
Boom.
$32 coming into play again for FXI. So I'm going to be short. I'm waiting for that play right now on FXI in and around that $32 mark. So that's what we're going to play with here on China. I'm going to leave the equities alone and just trade FXI.
All right, we'll wrap it up with the banks here this morning. More positive earnings coming through if you missed it from BAC or the likes of BAC and this one, Goldman. We were just admiring this chart. Wow. Monster gap to the upside here this morning to the tune of about 1.5%. We're off the highs, but 540 coming into play for Goldman here on a beat.
Yeah, so let's start with BAC. Brendo beating on the top and bottom line. Good look for them. Their trading revenue increased 8% and investment banking fees increased 18%. That's what they did well. What they didn't do well was they missed on credit loss provisions. They had to earmark about $1.5 billion. The street was looking for 1.2. Net interest income as well also fell 2.9%. Look for that to change though as interest rates drop down and gives them more room to make money on interest. Goldman, I'm not going to go over this in as much detail, but all you need to know is their profit surged 45% year over year on the quarter, clearly beating on the top and bottom line.
Yeah, I was just reading as well, 20% uptick in fees, investment banking fees for GS. DJ Solomon, happy today, guys.
Yes, sir.
I'm in Apple right now, those imbalances.
Yeah, the imbalances, we'll get to just a quick little second there, finish with banks, but the imbalances just came through. Nvidia was a buy of 400,000, Apple a sell of 350,000 as that came back into the downside. Marvell sell 350,000. Neo and Xpeng are both sells. BAC a small buy of 400,000 shares. Just very quickly on Schwab, we did mention this one as a continuation. They reported good quarter, but it gapped through basically everything. $72 was support. The last time we're down here, call it 71.75. I feel like you got to let these ones settle down off the open. But 72 starting to hold on there on Charles Schwab. So I want to see it hold that line, maybe start a bit of an upward trend. That's the only one of the banks that I'll be looking at to trade. But as I said, I want to sit this one out for the first 15 minutes. We didn't get a chance to talk about chips. I just want to quickly mention AMD here before the open. AMD was super weak, down 1% yesterday. This is the 200-period moving average. It has bounced off it several times. It now sits at $162. It's 162.50 on the 200-period moving average. Simple over-under. We bounce off 62. That's a 200-period bounce. I think you play back into 165. If we lose 162, flat bottom break. So we're about to get that test. I think that could happen off the open here on advanced micro devices.
Okay, let's go. Siren alert right here. So we actually had a fill there in Apple on the sell side. We talked about where we were waiting for it. So we are now out of half of this. We were sitting at 233.50. We talked about that in the pre-market. I wanted the fill, so there it comes in. I mean, it goes all the way to the downside into 233.30s, but whatever. I didn't even have a stop out. So we take that fill there, just a couple hundred. We'll see if it can come back up to the upside now and try to break higher here on Apple. And then we get our FXI fill. We are just sitting here again, waiting against that 32. So this one, we'll have a look here off the open as well. But Apple does come into that 233 area. So we're long and out of half right now, as it's not a great opportunity to be in stuck at the open on anything, especially when the imbalances are the other way. But yeah, bring it down, Apple, if you want, and we'll take some more shares down there, but not until we open up. I am sitting at 234. So if we can get another piece out there, that would be nice, and then hold into the open. And then we're going to go to Shreve in 1 second. I just want to show you guys. Nvidia was a buy, and it's just going. So Nvidia was the opposite, right? That was at 137, basically flat. Now you're up here, huge. So 138 is going to break right now on Nvidia. I mean, this Nvidia level from yesterday, I think you're just going to wait for 140, but this is starting to go already. So beautiful base there off VWAP 137. I wish I was looking more at this name as Nvidia right now, just taking names right back there to the upside. So sitting on the wrong one for those dip buys, and it just shows you how important some of these imbalances can be. Oops, here we go, straight off the open. So yeah, Baba's also a sell. So interesting for that, as our FXI play is now in play and locked and loaded. All right, Sharif at the desk.
Concluding our discussions today on average true range ATR, we're going to talk about some of the limitations of this indicator. So catch that with Joe and I on How to Trade at 11.
With only about 1 minute to go here, just worth noting, UNH, not necessarily a day trade, but down 9% after reporting earnings. They were just at 610 and now maybe testing the 200-period moving average. This is one I feel like usually you let it settle down for a couple of days, but the 200-period moving average is going to be there on UNH. That's going to be very, very tempting to try to get something in. Just want to let it settle down. Don't want to think like we're ignoring anything. Baba did not. Okay, Baba is going up, but Not nearly at that 106 high. I only want to be looking pop and fades on those. We already mentioned AMD. Nvidia is going to the upside. Apple 233 coming into play. Nvidia going up. AMD is going to the downside. So once again, AMD showing some weakness. 162. That's that 200 period moving average on the daily. You got to hold on to the 200 period if you're a good stock. Otherwise, you're entering a new downtrend. So that's the level looking at here. Obviously, we mentioned Tesla got mentioned, so thank you very much to Sean for reminding us about that one. And then Apple, that 233. As we get the bell, she's in red today. Let's hope it's not an ominous sign. But Adara, take us into Tuesday in 3, 2, and 1. Let's go.
Exactly. All right, here we go. Looking to get some dip buy opportunities in Apple. We did get it right now as it goes into 233. So here comes Apple into those levels. We want to make sure that we can get out if there is a problem here because, again, sitting in something and just watching it fall down and losing your day is never a good sign. So 232.50 maybe there for Apple. Let's see if it gets back up there to the upside. It's dancing with 233. This was a level that we don't want to be afraid of, but we have to be careful with. So 232.50. If we drop down below, we'll get out of like 75% of this trade, and then we'll reevaluate. But right now, Apple Fund coming in pretty hot right now.
Coming in very hot.
Look at the market.
Pre-market lows are coming in pretty fast.
So we're going to take this out right here and probably get punched out here.
Yeah, that 232.5 is coming in very, very quickly. I don't think it's going to hold. What's crazy about it is I was looking at that AMD to the downside as Apple. It's trying to bounce. Not really. I was looking at AMD. Instead of going down to 162, AMD popped up. So on that move down, AMD showing some signs of strength, which I find at least a little bit strange. But that 162 holding there on AMD. Where are we at? Let's go over at Apple. I guess we're not going to get that 162 on AMD. Felt like that was going to be an easy bounce play. But Apple cannot seem to hold on that pre-market low. So I'm out. You just lost the 232.50. We'll swing 0 for 1 on those. Schwab. Oh, it's always the one that you don't. It's always the one that you don't. Schwab in here, load. I just saw the wick when I looked over at my level 2 with Schwab as we took the L on Apple, and there's the 72. Wicked it right through 73 on Schwab. So, you know, I usually feel a little bit better about being an Apple off of the open there than Schwab, but Schwab was clean off the 72 level. I'll let Apple calm down. I want to see some higher lows. I want to see a better trend trade instead of that falling knife play. But Schwab off to the races. The 72 was golden.
All right, guys, we got a nice one there on FXI there as well, as we shorted FXI and got out right there at the 50 period. So we got some out at 83s. Our average price right now on FSI 97, so that's a good one. Okay, Apple, come on, baby. We told you we were getting out at 75%, then we punched back in. So let's see if Apple wants to work now back up there to the upside. No idea, but definitely worth the shot here on AAPL, trying to go back up. So out a little bit, back in on the fail, basically the fail break. Now we'll go higher here on AAPL. And watch out for our FXI. Come on, FXI. Come on, Apple. Let's go, Apple, right now. Right back in there now. So good trade here as that's continuously going back to the upside there on Apple. We know we want to stay in this name, so glad we did that. Nvidia right here as well continues to climb, man. Go, Nvidia, go, is what we're saying in the personal account as well. FXI coming in. Apple coming in. There goes Apple. Nice move there, back up to the upside there for Apple. Apple, nice move. We're $1 in now on Apple from that punch. We got stopped out there at 232.50. Hey, man, this happens to me all the time, but we're back in it right now. We're flat now on the day. Wow, what an amazing opportunity that was. And there comes FXI. Nice push down on FXI. Oh, no, we did it again right there, man. It's a sticky note mania today. Sticky note has Apple 233. Apple's at 234 right now, ripping higher. Go, Apple, go. We'll see how far we can get on this one. FXI downside, Apple upside right now. Wow, that was tricky to get going off the open there, getting stopped out some on Apple, but you got to stick with it. We got right back in FXI. Beautiful move to the downside there on FXI. Oh boy, man, it's another 2 for 2 kind of day. Let's see what winds up happening. It's only 9:33, guys. We got to look at some other names, but so far so good there. Wow, that was nervous Nancy hands there for me on Apple, but we're in it now. $1.50 in the money on Apple. What's up, Adara?
Beware here of MRVL. Marvell looking for a day to move this one up almost 6% right now. Yesterday, pretty strong, disclosing that it's developing this new network interface controller, and it got a positive note from Citigroup. Today, it is at this OCP 2024 conference. It's set conference that's to take place from October 15th to 17th. Marvell apparently showing this industry-leading technology here for connectivity. So good look here for MRVL conference demonstration, guys.
D just broke the 162. I didn't have a stop order set for it. Wanted to make sure it was going to hold underneath. I was looking bounce first, so I wasn't really looking for the automatic short. You are getting a follow through the 162. That's now the 200 period moving average lost on the daily. While that was going on, Alibaba wicked the high. So there's the wick of the high on Alibaba. I entered it in the short. It just pulled back into VWAP off a 104 level. So Alibaba gapped down, but wicks that high, looks short underneath the pre-market high. Just got 95s. It's holding 103.5, at least for now. So I want to play it back into that 103 level if we get an opportunity to. Still some higher lows being put in there. Nvidia is absolutely churning, and Tesla broke out.
Oh, man, Apple.
So Tesla 221 now come and gone. 225 is still going to be a break level on Tesla, but that 221 is now come and gone right quick in there. So AMD, I'm going to get on the way back through 162, but the way the market's churning to the upside, if we retake 162, it's got to be able to jump out. Tesla 225, I don't want to break out when it's already gone parabolic, but that just might have to be the case. That 225 coming into play big.
Guys, your first $2 winner right there on Apple, 234.50 we just took out right there. It does go up to 234.60. Let's see if it continues to go. And oh boy, man, FXI, it's not necessarily going down, but we have a big trade on this one as we get our 32 short there, as we wrote down on the sticky note, and there it goes to the downside. So yes, sir, it's going to be a big day. And there's Apple right now. Apple is now, there's $2 right now in the money. Hey, let's take something out up here, right? I mean, it just keeps on bouncing around. We knew this was going to be an Apple day. It is the #1 marked stock here. And there it goes, man, back to positive land here now on Apple as that just continues to go higher and higher. Now, go Apple. We'll just start taking some more out here as it continues to go upside. Now, $2 plus now in the money on Apple. And why not? Let's take out some more shares here now on FXI as that's trying to dance around a bit here. So we'll just hold these two names. And boy, oh boy, are they two names that we are happy to have traded there once again today, and both of them written down here on the sticky note. We did take a 50-cent hit there on our 233s for Apple, but there it goes right back to the upside now. AAPL continuing to climb. I think 235 is in play for a break, so we might as well wait to see if that can come in now. As there goes Apple breaking higher as we speak. Looks like 235, on point right now. $2.25 in the money on Apple.
Apple, a great look for me. That went way too far to the downside and too quickly to that upside as well. Was on another stock when it came back in, but I think he's got to play trend. Same thing with Tesla. Tesla 221's gone. 225 is out there. Just watching Baba, it just bounced off of this support at 103.40 and is right back above that 50 level. So Baba's continuing to hold on to that little bit of a shelf life here, but it's still only red to the downside. Tesla, I feel like that was a bit of a missed chance. It didn't really dip into the pre-market lows, just a clean break through 221. Want to look at VWAP here. Got to be a continuation play here for Tesla. Nvidia's pretty much come and gone as well as that one looks like it's only headed to set upside. Schwab, there's only so far that I want to chase Schwab. So we'll let that one calm down off of the open. But looking at VWAP here on Tesla, certainly AMD is still heading to the downside. It might break a 160 level. And Apple, I wanted to be playing dips and not breakouts. But it is what it is. Missing data on that, but you can see it wicked out. That's not exactly the bottom wick. It carried a little bit lower, but then you have the V-shaped recovery. Anytime that happens, the prior support, I want to be continuation support. So that's in and around 230, 223.5. 233 was the line in the sand. When it broke it by the $0.50, that was me getting out. But we'll go back into the trend here, hopefully before it breaks 235.
Yeah, we're in 235. We're in right now. We have over $2.50 now in the money. But here it comes, man. It's going to be breaking 235 in a minute, and we want that short. We want that long. But we've already got this play coming in too, right? FXI, as you can see, as this one continues to go lower and lower and lower. We're just piecing some out here on FXI. Big time trade alert right here for this one. I mean, we've nailed this. And again, you know, no fear on trading any of these names here today. Here goes Apple. Looks like it is going to break 235. And again, as it was written on here, go long. Your number one trade idea on the sticky note today is Apple 233 long. So we're long right now at 232.60. So far, so good here. And now let's see if this continues to rip higher. It's going to be another big day here with only 10 minutes in. We'll see if we can get some more love right now. DJT moving around, but I'm going to watch out for Apple as it looks like it wants to break, but maybe not. Hold on a second. Even if it breaks, I don't want to panic and get out. There goes DJT up to 32.35 off of a dip buy opportunity. I wrote down get long in and around 30 bucks. But again, just didn't have that play in the bank right there for me. Here comes Apple. We still are holding on to a piece of this as it breaks through 235. I might just, you know what? I'm gonna get out of another piece here right now at 97, just in case it refuses this breakout. But there it goes. Okay, so now we're long again on Apple right now, breaking higher.
Yeah, it's going to the upside big time. I said I didn't want the break. I want to dip first. We're going to get the next dip. Intel, what's going crazy is Nvidia just went green. Intel to the downside. It's making fresh lows along with advanced micro devices. It's through my level of 23.30. If it consolidates under there, I'm going to be looking for a short. BABA still, I just took another leg out of BABA. We're only down to a quarter now. It keeps on bouncing off of these pre-market levels. You're still holding underneath support, underneath that resistance. I'm not going to be adding unless we get a hold under VWAP next wick or maybe that 104 level. So continue to play that to the south side as it falls. AMD at those lows still going. Tesla, we're trying to be patient looking for that VWAP bounce. It just took 222s. Now coming back to the upside, I want that nice little rounded bottom. Show me some green. And then we'll continue to look for longs on TSLA. Just in the one short. BABA's working, but it's not falling through. Hasn't really gone that full dollar yet.
Adara?
Great look off the open here for DRUG, getting increasing volume, now up almost 40%. This company is called Bright Minds Biosciences. Looks like it ran yesterday as well. Not seeing any news, but tons of social media mentions. We're talking multiple tags within the last minute here on Twitter. It's also worth noting they have a market cap of just over $11 million, a float of 2.88 million shares. About 3% of that float is going to be sold short. DRUG making new day's highs here, guys. What a look.
Oh, wow. We are just really, really happy that we had talked about Apple today and how good that stock was going to be. Shout out to Chef Joe and everybody there in the chat that has Apple today. I can't see the guys, but, well, I don't know. I can see Obi. I'll tell you how he's been doing. But I know he sniped Apple the other day short, but we were talking about this name for the long all day. And all we wrote down was get long. So we are long Apple right now, and it was huge. We just got some out there in the 30s, by the way. We're basically now kind of in scout mode because we got a little bit of a scare. It's still up 250 right there. We got a lot out in here in 30s, 40s, 50s to the point now where we just have a small piece left on Apple. FXI, though, is moving. I'm actually going to get out some more here on Apple. There we go. We took some 17s out. Oops, that's FXI. FXI, by the way. I mean, let's go on FXI. I mean, come on, guys. This is another play here. I'll show you this thing, you know, what we're talking about. If those of you are like, where are these plays coming from? There's Apple. Dig into the long, right? That's what we talked about, 233, 235 on a break. So we took that trade, and we took that trade, and then we shorted FXI at $32, which is an absolute banger right now. So far, wow, so far so good as we just continue to blast. Apple, Neil, is the absolute banger of the day right there on Apple. I'm hearing somebody's mic, Fabian, by the way, in our ear. But there it goes, man. We are up huge on Apple. It's still hearing it, so we'll have to pick that up. I think it's Sharif's mic or something, just because he's sitting here, that's all. All right, there goes 236 now. It's another dollar club. This stock is $3 now in the money from that bottom take. Meanwhile, Apple upside, FXI downside. Oh boy, we're having another day today. This is, thank you, one brown chick, and everybody in the chat there. Thank you so much for that. As we just continue to put them on right now, Neil, with the short BABA.
Yeah, BABA's going downside. Apple looking absolutely fantastic. Remember, all-time high is $237.23.
Boy.
I think that's the line in the sand today after what Nvidia did with its high. It didn't quite get there. I do think you want to go step by step. Okay, so another leg out in BABA. You're starting to round off a little bit at that 103, so I have a bid out in front of 103. If it breaks, fantastic. If it does not, we want to make sure we're taking profit. So here's the concern. Nvidia, which was just churning, is now heading right back into lows. So Nvidia looking a little bit weak. It's red now on the session. So be careful on this pullback. It does seem like this is running out of steam. Nvidia. DJT did a liquidity grab under 31. I think that's usually a bullish sign. I was thinking 30 because it just sat there all afternoon for support. But if you can turn that into a breakaway from the highs, then you've trapped some people short underneath the pre-market lows. For now, I'd like to see it put in a higher low, and then we can work the next trade, hopefully, on DJT. It was never a break of the high of the day. It was always going to be look for the dip at 30 or a continuation play. That's going to need to take out 33 or hold VWAP. Tesla is going to be a little bit tricky. It's trying to hold on to this 22. The clean break through 221, now it's got that higher low going. I'd like to see a little bit more strength off of VWAP for Tesla before jumping into that. And I did say Intel was now underneath that 2330 level. Probably need to let it get back into VWAP here, even inside day here on the market so far. But that's a liquidity grab over. Failed breakout on Intel. To me, that sets up a short trade almost every single time. Look, you go right into prior highs. And we thought this would be I actually thought it was going to be a bullish day for some of these chips, but it's going the other direction. Got to be able to join.
All right. Sorry to cut that one short there, but props up to everybody that's on this Apple trade. I mean, we just wrote it down, and I just basically said we did it. For everybody out there, Chef Joe, everybody in the chat, Adam DeLuz, Neil, everybody out there, look at this Apple. Dig into the long. It's going to be a long day on Apple and a short day on FXI. It's the two top, guys, it's the two top trades, baby. Right there. And there will be P&L number 1 and 2 here. And it's just like, that's what you want. You're here to make money. Take ideas and put them into actual money. So there it goes right there, man. This is another dollar. I'm starting to get some more out on Apple here. I mean, honestly, the more this name rips up higher, the better it is for your boy. But we got to still take some out as we're still in the 213, 236, and we're heading into those all-time highs as promised. And then FXI, we took some out near here again at this bottom. I don't know where the bottom is going to be on FXI, but we'll just keep on taking piece by piece out here. So it's going to look like we are planting different flowers and whatnot here, because that's just the way I'm trading these names, getting them in and out as they go. But we still got on a very, very decent piece here of Apple as it is now getting higher and higher. Probably another piece out. Checks notes. Berkshire, you sold this name? Are you for real? You sold BAC and all that? What's going on here? There goes Apple 237 incoming right now on AAPL. So yeah, man, today is going to be one of them days one more time here. So again, hit the like, hit the subscribe. Keep doing it. Thank you, Steve J. Thank you to everybody there in the chat saying we're killing it again. I mean, this is what's happening here. This is what we did yesterday. We're doing it again here today. We give these notes out to you every single day live on that sticky note. We put a lot of time. I put a lot of time and effort into making sure that we get the good plays on there. And there it is for right now. It's Apple, and it's absolutely moonshotting there to the upside. And ain't nothing holding a torch to this name yet today. We'll see, though. This FXI could be special. Adira.
Rumble on Watch Your RUM. This one announcing this morning that there's this online retailer called Sticker Mule, which is going to be moving its AI processing over to the Rumble cloud. So it looks like RUM getting a move up on this. This could also be a bit of a sympathy play with DJT and FHUN, which are both running earlier this morning, because we know RUM has run in sympathy to those names in the past. It's also worth noting with Rumble, we have a bit of a larger market cap, $1.64 billion. So not the smallest of small cap names here, but it's significant here to note a 20% short float from what I'm seeing here for RUM, guys.
Always respect the short float in there. It's obviously going to be a bit of a catalyst, but today you don't necessarily need short floats for that. You got bank earnings, you got Apple flying around here. All right, so Baba just bounced off 30s, or 03s even, so went 104 to 103, and then I took a fill here in Schwab, but I don't like the entry point. I don't like VWAP as an entry point. So I got some out immediately off the half because I feel like the better fills are going to be underneath here at 72.5. I'm going to back off here. You're consolidating. It's early on in the bank play. I do want to look for the long, but look at the heavy wicks when it's challenging underneath there. So I want to give it some room to give me that kind of a play, so have less into it and then be able to hold down into that 72.5 zone for Schwab. I haven't really checked too much the other banks. This was the one that was flying the most, so as far as I was concerned, I did like it the best. So Baba bounced off the 103. We just rang the register in front of that 103. There we go. It goes all the way back into VWAP. So now VWAP is starting to hold trend downside. So we're going to hang on to this one southbound on BABA. So far, so good. Fail break of the high for a short setup we always like. Play it back into that 103. Now we'll look for a VWAP retracement as well on Alibaba. So Schwab was the only new position that we just took on there. And we got into Intel, but I already mentioned that one. Tesla not looking very good at VWAP. Don't want to be catching a falling knife for an entry point. And that's exactly what it was doing. It's bouncing off 221, great, but VWAP wasn't a thing, so I don't take VWAP. It was screaming through VWAP to the downside. Now it's trying to catch a bit of a bid. I can be patient. If we're going to trend up in Tesla, I want it to break out of this like nastiness that it just did to maybe bamboozle some people in that long if you took VWAP.
I like having Sharif sit over here because I just started hearing him giggle, and I started giggling, and then we're giggling at the exact same thing, and that is that we cannot believe what the hell is happening with Apple right now. And I mean, it is now. So we hit that $2 thing earlier. This is another $2. So this is $4 right now off the bottom there for Apple. As we posted 233, we got stopped out at 230, 250 of 75%, then just punched right back in off of that failed breakdown. And then there it goes right now. It is an absolute monster trade right there for Apple going back there to the upside. And again, you gotta do it, right? We had Trade the Pool on. We had all of these guys on. We talk about real trading where we're from right now and what the advantages are of trading at prop and being able to hit these stocks as they're hot, being able to hit different markets, being able to throw tons of money at these names. This is what we're here for. We're here to trade and to put on some decent ones. And I hope that you guys were able to follow both Neil and I's trades today and be positive on some of those for you anyways. All right, FXI. It's starting to move backside. So right now we have about 15% left. Right now about 25%, about 14, 15% left of this one. Apple, though, as we go, again, we have about 25% again, maybe 30% left of our punch at 235. So let's just see if this can go. I mean, we're at all-time highs right now. We are now about 50 cents away from that all-time high level of 237.25 or 43s. But that doesn't matter to me. This name is absolutely rocking and rolling. There goes Apple. It's an absolute banger right now. And honestly, guys, I mean, we can look at other names, and we marked down SoFi. I'm not looking at anything right now. I'm very, very focused on what's been happening right here. This has just been such a good trade, and the more I can focus on limited names, we talked about that yesterday. Neil will trade about double the names that I do on a daily basis. So, we got to stay in our zone, stay focused on what we're doing right now. 236.80. I mean, Apple right here at day's high. I'm going to take out another piece. Might as well do that right now at 75s. If we can get it, there we go. And then just wait now to see if this name keeps on going higher through 237 and then taking that out. I'm not punching any longer. We are really on cloud 9 right now with this trade. So let's continue to make more highs right now on Apple and just sit back and relax and then sip that cognac, although it's only almost 10 o'clock. Right now, DJT testing higher. That's the other thing. I'm missing more opportunities. There's no doubt about that. But I'm just going to watch Apple here through 237.
Yeah, Apple looking super strong there. DJT has not made that break. The liquidity grab underneath the higher low, looking for the local breakout. It hasn't happened yet, but it is very, very close.
37, bro.
32.85 is right in here on DJT. You're seeing higher lows into a flat top break after that liquidity grab. I'm just in the two shorts as we speak, but we said we'd look for a dip buy. Don't want to take out the highs, but I like that liquidity grab underneath that allows us to get this potential break here on DJT. I am in Intel short. That's off of VWAP. If you saw what's happening to Nvidia, you'll know that Nvidia is absolutely tanking right now. 135 looks like support on NVDA as it's absolutely cratering to the downside. That was that big breakout last week. So breakout, resistance turning into support. I'm not touching it until it gets down and tests that 135 level from the other day. Only $1 away, it can get there right quick. DJT, no break.
What's up, Adara?
Watch out for crypto stocks here. COIN, Coinbase, pushing into the 202 area. MSTR and a lot of these other crypto stocks looking really strong here as Bitcoin actually reclaims the 67,000 level, currently trading from last I saw here at July highs. So multi-month highs for BTC, sending crypto stocks, including COIN, to the upside with some nice volume. So these names definitely on watch this busy Tuesday morning, guys.
2,000, he says.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I said that yesterday live on the show. 100,000 Bitcoin. Yes, market down could be happening by December. All right. So right now, Apple just continues to go, man. I mean, we called this one all-time highs as well, and that is right here, right now. Apple at all-time highs, 237 and change. Brendan, it's not $1, it's not $2, it's not $3, it is now $4 in the money now. Apple off those bottoms, and we continue to get higher and higher and higher now, breaking through 237. We did take some more out there, but it is continuously moving higher and higher and higher. There it goes, man. Google also high a day. Oh, hell yeah. We are loving everything right now in this market. There goes Google high of day. Oh, by the way, we wrote down Google 165. You know how low it got? 165.25. Congratulations if you're able to nail that one. We're very, very focused on what we've been doing here today, putting a very, very green day on the board. This is probably the best day of October, I would say, so far for an open. And we couldn't be happier with what's been happening here so far. But congratulations on Google. Meta probably very still. No, okay, I was going to say, how close is Meta to 600? Thought it would have been closer. Meta actually going oppo right now. And this is what the market does. It gets one going, then fades the other, then gets the other one going. Right now, we're looking at Amazon. We're looking at Apple going on the Mag 7. We're looking at Google. So some of these other names like Microsoft, I assume as well, maybe going to the downside. Microsoft and Meta are not the chosen ones right now. Microsoft's actually okay, up 0.5%, beating the market. But it is Apple, and it's an apple a day. Will not keep you away. You should be on the sticky note daily. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Your two top trades here are the two monsters right now for me. I only have two trades, Apple and FXI, so follow along if you're playing at home.
Yeah, if you're playing at home, congratulations. Closed Apple 232.50 calls at 525 on the super chat there. From LA, we appreciate you. Made 44K. That 23 was a golden level. I got out when it lost that 223.5. I went to get back in, but not. I waited till 233 to come back, and I'm losing some data, but I'm going to show you the trend line that it's trying to go to, and it's at the high of the day, or the all-time high, I should say, which is also the high of the day.
Yeah.
So obviously, when you're at an all-time high, we close back underneath this candle, 237. Reversion to 36 is going to be the play for me here. It's a very steep trend line. You can't see the bottom wick on that chart, so I have to show it here. We are now making a reversion play in Apple. Let me just throw that one out of the way there. And again, the bottom's somewhere down here, so I can't really draw the trend line for you. High right now is underneath the all-time high by 10 pennies on Apple.
Boom.
10 pennies. That's how close it got. It's a very clean, if it breaks an all-time high, get out style of trade. But I'm looking for the fill in the 80s, give it about 30, 40 cents, and then playing at 36. If it happens to get to VWAP, fair enough, but that wouldn't even be the target on something this strong. Intel, I just got a couple of wicks off VWAP in here. It's red on the day, the market's green. It's as simple as that. Fail breakout, short, lower, high, give to the local, play to the low of the day, try to hold some for the even dollar on Intel. So we're going to go stay the course with this one being a pop and fade trade. What is Baba doing? Alibaba is now holding slightly above VWAP. So it's still lower highs. I'd like it underneath VWAP. Otherwise, just waiting for the 104. We did take out almost all of it, holding on to the last 15% of the trade. And we'll see if it can get back to the low of the day here with Baba. It's kind of cruising to the downside in a general sense, but I don't like it holding VWAP in here. I'd like it to be losing VWAP a little bit more rapidly and showing the kind of flush that it had earlier. AMD, it lost. I keystroked out of it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It broke 162. I went to throw a stop order and try to go back over to Apple because I was just going to hold it for the move down. It ends up getting me out here instead of giving it to pre-market levels. AMD is a little bit sick here, but I think the trend, you can see VWAP holding very, very cleanly on AMD. So if we hold on to that trend line at VWAP, I think that's a nice re-entry point. If the market's weak or strong and you're weak, I think you want to play that direction. All right, so Apple, kind of, I showed you guys the trend line break. I want to get some out in quarters all the way down to 50s and then to that 36 level. Only hold 10% for the 35. A little bit too strong to hold for more. So we're in a couple of reversion trades, and then we've got Alibaba still. Tesla still nothing doing on Tesla. Look at the violence with which Tesla's rejecting 224. It's not exactly giving me the warm and fuzzies about the long here on Tesla. We're going to have to reevaluate because that has a lot of rejection up here at 224. I'm not rushing into it.
All right, we have FXI right here. We're starting to get some out here as it's coming back in, so that was nice. I did not reload it. Could have been reloading that one. We are really getting light on everything right now. Apple is making that move back in. We just took another piece out there at 87.88 as it's coming back in just a little bit there for Apple. Again, going to be the .1 stock there today. Apple. I mean, how can't it be really? It was a tough out there. Neil and I both had those outs down there at 232.50 or 233.50, I think yours was, you were mentioning, but there it is right there. And then we bought it right back up in there. It's just ripping to the upside. And it's just, this is what I'm talking about, how, you know, one stock really one play can make your whole day if you're share sized properly. And that's what it was right there for Apple. So now we're cruising, man. We've hit our daily goal a couple times right there. So we're happy with what we're doing now, and you know, pretty comfortable sitting in this position right here on what we have. So we just got a little bit more out there on FXI as it pulled back into that 77, 78 level. I might put some more shares out here just to get out if we can back into the 80s. Take that, you know, 15, 16 cents on that one if we can get that going. But, you know, there's no stopping this Apple as here it goes right now. Back up through 237. It's trying, like I said, getting some more out there and looking for some more opportunities. Maybe Google on pullbacks. The market right here has done nothing all morning. It went up and then came back in. So if you were, you know, you can get chopped up in here, which is what used to happen to me. But we've improved a lot in our trading over the months and months that we've been here. So we're no longer doing that. And like I said right here, it's been a monster day just with these two numbers. So, you know, for me, it's been working out, but we have Adara right now. What's up, Adara?
Bit of a mixed day here for both the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ as we look at what's happened in the first half an hour of trading on this Tuesday morning. We do have, of course, near record highs here for the NQ. We had the S&P 500 at record highs as of recently as well. Oil, though, on the flip side, pretty weak. A lot of continuation plays to watch out for as well. We still have DJT on watch as the election nears. We also had here the pre-sale of Donald Trump's World Liberty Financial Token. So that one's certainly on watch as well, in addition to sympathy plays like RUM and FHUN. Boeing also on watch here. We just got an update from S&P Global with regards to their potential credit outlook on BA as we have news of some new investments they're trying to look into, including a $25 billion mixed shelf offering. It's a lighter day for economic data. We will have the New York Fed inflation expectations coming through at 11, as well as comments from Fed's Daily at 11:30 and Fed's Kugler at 1:05 p.m. Now, in terms of other stocks on watch, earnings certainly here on everyone's mind. UNH here hitting SSR down more than 10%. They reported an earnings beat here for EPS and sales, though they lowered the top end of their guidance ever so slightly here for 2024 EPS. Now we have WBA up more than 10% here, beating for EPS and for sales and having some mid-tier guidance here, so in the middle of the range for its upcoming fiscal year. Now for Charles Schwab here, SCHW, all the banks here beating across the board from what I saw. Charles Schwab, though, especially strong here after beating EPS and sales estimates and announcing a 27% year-over-year increase for its client assets. If you guys are enjoying what you're seeing, make sure to like and subscribe.
Very much there. Derry, hit that like, hit that subscribe, share it with everybody, and Bitcoin's going to go to 100,000 next year. We'll see. But obviously,
December.
How about on my birthday?
Sure.
Let's go 100,000 for Boxing Day. I'd like to, it doesn't really matter when it gets there. Who cares? You go 50% from here. I don't give a rat's, you know what, if it's in 2 months or in a year, as far as I'm concerned. So Apple, when they're counter trend trading, specific entry, but I think preserve the trade as well. So the entry was off of the fail of the all-time high and then a trend break. The bottom is right in here. So line it up with the trend, enter. It did just tag essentially 236. There was this wick down here into about the quarters. So now if it loses this entry candle, which lines up, it's like 236.90 or so, just jump out. So I'm not, like this point, like you've got the wick bottom into what I thought was going to be support at 236. If you break that 236.90, I'm just going to jump out of the trade. Do not want that trade to turn red, especially when it's been trend up. So mean reversion trade, have yourself a clear out because, again, you're going against the grain. It's not like shorting BABA, which is trend down, or shorting Intel, which is trend down. Apple's trend up. So I think it requires like a little bit more Well, I mean, everyone can do you. I just think it requires a little bit more of a protectionist mode if it comes back to that upside. Tesla's still looking relatively heavy, so I'm glad I'm not in the long here yet in Tesla. It's not looking all that great. It needs to hold VWAP, put in some higher lows, maybe even just take out this top on Tesla. I cannot stand the way that this rejected 224, not even getting 225. Those are very heavy wicks and selling back under. You need to show me some strength in Tesla holding some higher lows, and then I can get on board with going into that long trade. Nvidia did not quite get to 135. It got very, very close, 135.40. That might be close enough on Nvidia. You're starting to break out of a downward channel, do a bit of a rounded bottom here on NVDA. So as I said on Apple, if it not to the high of the day, adjust it. When it bounces off that 236, only give it to the local high, so then you get a break-even stop on the way back out. Mean reversion trade, but remember, it's against the grain. So you have to have a plan of action. That's why I mentioned to you guys was moving the stop order, because once it bounces here, not giving it to that high of the day.
Wow. Apple right now, guys. Now this is $2.20 in the money, giving us $4.50 off that bottom and continuously going there for Apple. We're still in this name and we're still holding it, and it's just absolutely Rip City right now on Apple, and taking out all-time high closes right now. 237.23 was that level, and oh boy, there it goes right now. Neil can talk about DJT. I wasn't in it. I think you were in and out of that one already as I look there, so Neil can talk about that. But right now, Apple just continues, guys. There it goes. Let's just say, Apple and then FXI, but we do not have. So we only have these two right now, and having the best day that I've had in a while here in the morning time. So just continues, huge moves up. We just stay true to what we're doing now and sticking with our levels and sticking with our trades. All right, Palantir right here. Nice dip down today for sure. Look at the barcode down here at 43.70, 42.70, 42.80. I mean, great little level there. Coming back in, I mean, this name has been really heated up. I told you guys we got some out. I think it was 43. That would make sense last Thursday when it was up into this level. So we did get some out in and around this level for us on Palantir. Just trying to raise a bit of cash. I mean, I think it's been well moved higher, but it is overextended. I mean, Palantir, no matter how you're going to look at this name, well off of the 50-period moving average. And just, wow, this Apple has really, really made the day here. $35 right there, nice piece to the downside for Palantir. I mean, that would be a nice reload spot. We're nowhere near there. I mean, we're at $43 right now. This is actually looking like a little bit of a sell situation now. You know, I really like, trading and hosting and doing the show and everything like that. But sometimes when you see plays like this and really the damage here that and what this has meant here today, for the net and for things like that, and just for trading in general and trading with the trend. I mean, this has been a trending market for a very, very long time, and you want to stay with the trend. And I mean, we are learning every single day how to become a better trader, a more consistent trader, and it's really been happening for us. So, when you get that kind of stuff to hit, it hits different. So congratulations to everybody that hopefully can get to some of these levels around here. This is why we aspire to teach everybody everything that we know every single day. And we often say, or I often say, because again, it sticks with me, those who can't teach, I try to change that mold. And I think that we're doing that right in front of you. And that's why you can ask at any time. I mean, we're the teachers. That's why I tell you, if you want to know if we're green or red, you can ask us. I mean, to me, that's like I want my son to question what the teacher tells him to some extent, So, I mean, if you want to know, hey, are Neil's strategies working? Are my strategies working? Just ask us, are we green or red on the day? Ask us what our top stocks are. All this kind of stuff. This is what we're talking about here every single day. So, the trading is pretty simple for me today. FXI short, Apple long. It's two trades. It's exactly the playbook that we wrote down. It's like if you're the Baltimore Ravens. Oh, by the way, the NFC North right now is on record pace. They're 17-5 combined. The top 4 teams in point differential in the NFL are all from the NFC North. But right here, it never happened before. Stick with your game plan. you know, and that's the key thing. So again, just trying to keep it real. I don't think there's going to be a more real show than us. So we want to stick with that plan of action and just keep it going. So again, thank you for watching. Hit the like, hit the subscribe and all of that. And I promise you I'll be back tomorrow.
Yes, sir. That's what it's all about. And obviously every single time we're talking about teaching, every time you have an entry, I have an exit and the plan. And the key for me is do not violate said plan. You know, and at the end of the day, that's what I want to work out, and that's what I try to get across. Because ultimately, I wish I had Apple, but I had to stop out underneath. And when I'm trying to catch it on the other side, I don't like getting it on the way down. I like trying to get it on the way back up. It either bounces off the level I like. If it doesn't bounce off the level I like, I want an entry here or an entry here. So I missed it today, and I don't mind saying that whatsoever. So I wait for the next trade. And the next trade was simply, okay, it's going parabolic, trend reversal. That was the plan. Make sure you break out even on that one, the last exit point. And then a similar thing happening over here in Alibaba. Like Alibaba was absolutely cruising. Bounces off 103. I didn't like the way this looked at VWAP in terms of, I'd like to see a weak stock. If you saw Intel off of VWAP here, let's just quickly show you what Intel's doing and show you one that looks good. So a weak stock gets to VWAP, rejects it. That's what I want to see. Alibaba was a weak stock, gets to VWAP, now putting in those higher lows. So no reload. I think it's got to be the 104 or bust. If it busts 104, I'm jumping out of the trade. We're short at 95s. Originally, I would have given it to the quarter mark in here, but now if it breaks 104, I'm just out of it. A pullback into VWAP, and I want to take more profit on this trade, but we've gotten out of the bulk of it because ultimately, when you see a buyer at 103, it's all well and good to say, hey, if it's buying off the 103, hey, there's buying off 103.50. I want to make decisions at those prices. So 104 breaks, I'm jumping out. I think we've sniffed out that Tesla might not be the long that we're looking for. So sometimes the best trade you make is the one that you don't make. And I was looking for Tesla off of VWAP, but again, if I catch it and just start going long off VWAP, does it hold 221? Yeah, it does. But then I'm trying to hold it through this to hope for that move to the upside. Instead, Tesla just looks relatively weak. Can't seem to hold on to the 220 level. Don't necessarily have an obvious short entry for Tesla just yet. But VWAP's starting to come into play as well. And Nvidia, 135, no hold 135. So I take the long? No. 135 was a support level. 135 was a consolidation level. It's not consolidating at 135. You're blowing through to the downside. The market's losing lows. You'll see I'm only in a couple of short positions right now because the market's starting to reel back in here pretty nastily as now 2.5% plus down on Nvidia. I went over to Amazon to see if this was holding on to a key support level. It is, and it's holding green, but still lower highs. So got to play a little bit of a patience game here, AMZN. I want to see 187.5. If it's going to hold in here, that was prior close, prior resistance. This can be a nice setup for a bounce play in Amazon, but I need a little confirmation on that 15-minute chart. This is the time that you want to be a little bit more patient. So I feel like this is a relatively strong name, a little bit better on the support side for now than something like a Tesla. The bleed on Nvidia is going to be a problem here as it's going to the downside pretty nastily. I don't necessarily love when this happens. You're relatively weak on Intel, but you're not falling like a rock. This needs to drop right into that low of the day. We got the 38. It's a good entry point. It's a good reload spot. But I think you should already be testing low of the day here on Intel down that 1 point. I think part of it might just be you're at support on yesterday's lows. So it's trying to chew through it. I have one fill to try to grab the low, and then it's a gap fill down to the 23 level here for INTC. BABA holds 104, so that looks like it's going to be okay. And for all you crypto heads out there, I'm going to show you IBIT just because it's easier for me. You're starting to back off a bit of a fail break of the high. I know you're a crypto head out there, Fabian, but first red candle on the 15-minute on IBIT incoming. Hasn't closed yet. It'll close in about 2 minutes. Looks like it's a bit of a mean reversion trade. And with that starting to mean revert, yeah, I know it's Mara. Mara rejected 18 last time. I felt like I should have jumped in on this one earlier, but I didn't want to. Only explanation for why I'm not in this mean reversion trade is that at the moment when it did the mean reversion, Bitcoin was going hella strong to the upside. So it didn't feel like it was the right spot to go into that mean reversion trade. But Mara still looking weak. If we never make another high on BTC today, then Mara to me is going to be a short back into this top no matter what.
All right. Ooh, Trick or Treat email from Flex. I wonder what movie's coming out. All right. Now I know Apple's been throwing around there. I know that reversion trade was a good one. I know it got stopped out there in around 237, but it's coming back to the downside right now. So we got some more out right there. When that ripped up into that high, this could now be the trade to come back in. So we talk about that. You can take a million shots short, but one of them is what you need. And this might be the one. I'm going to take out a couple more shares. Took out a third. Took out about 20% of what we had left right there at 25s on Apple. So we'll wait to see now where this goes. But we take out another little piece there as we're getting close to that 50 period. Generally, the 50 period is a trend changer. So for me, we'll wait on that one. Okay, everybody, let's go over some questions and answers. So if there's any time for Q&A, it would be now. It's 10:14. We can look at some more names together. If you put something in the chat, I will over there and have a look at it. I just went and got a coffee, so I don't know. I keep seeing DJT in there, and as I was saying, Neil was the one that traded it. That was a great short there, obviously off 33.50, matching into the pre-market high. And I think the same thing. I mean, I'm a very, very simple trader. We talk about that all the time, and I'm sure you can see that by my entries and my exits. It's just like right there into the pre-market. I think that would have been worth it again to take that long. Take that short against that pre-market high. So that would have been something right there to have shorted. So I think if you're going to be shorting DJT, I could also see you maybe have tried the short at 33 if that was going to be in play again for you on the short. This is, again, another name that is very, very cheap to borrow here at Real Trading. I think it's $1.20 for 1,000 shares. So very, very cheap to short DJT. I don't recommend trading it with 1,000 shares unless you can have your stop is a little bit bigger and, you're not afraid to get liquidated out of it. But at the same time, this short squeeze doesn't really look like taking effect. I mean, short squeezes generally just keep on going. They don't have these kind of stops and drops to VWAP and then pop again and then break through and be pretty calm. Now, you do get these big wicks here on DJT. So for me, definitely worth a look now that it's settled down just a bit. I wrote down here on the sticky note that we would like a $30 level, and I still think you can be patient and wait for that. But why not take this kind of a break again? If you break 33, I think it would test 33.50. So for me, for Donald J here, I like that break back to the high side now as we continue to look for better and different opportunities as we go. So Apple is pulling back again. Again, we're very, very light on this name. We just got out of some more there at 20s as we approach, but we are in it. So I don't want to talk, negatively about the position, but right now it's still $1 in the money. And we got out all the way up. And that's why looks like we're painting here. We are basically, we're just offering out all the way up. This was going like meme crazy and I had no idea when it was going to stop. So most of the outs there are going to be at even dollar levels. Like here it comes right back up. I think we'll take an opportunity to get another out there. I was going to get some more out at 25s and we just missed it. So we'll wait to see if we can get that. But Apple's definitely dancing around here, breaking new all-time high levels there this morning. So it looks like 237.49 will be there. We go. We just got it out there at 15s. Now let's see if we can get even higher. Take that out at 25 and then go from there. So, Josh Raposo there again. COHR puts. Okay, thank you for the super chat there again. Coherent Corp. So I don't know anything about this name, but there it is right there, Josh. What's up, Josh? Thank you for that. I will hit the like on that one. Your second super chat that I've seen today, so thank you. Oh, you had puts on this name? Hold on. Let me just have a quick little look to see what level you said there. I think you said $80 puts. 1 second here. My mouse has gone to sleep a little bit here. All right, there it is. $80. Oh, January. Okay, so. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'd have to see what this business is all about. Wow, Apple right now, I think we just got another fill up there at 236.25. So it's battling back. Yeah, look, I mean, I like 50-period moving averages. You know that. So I would say, you're the one that has to plan out when are earnings. Obviously, from now to January, you'll probably get 2 reports. I don't know when they report, but if you don't like the name. Oh, you know what? Weekly. Take it. For me, it's a huge move up right now on this Coherent. I would say you're playing the wrong trend, but I don't know enough about it, but I want to thank you, Josh, and bringing everybody's attention to that. Now it's time-stamped, Josh. So now you can look back and say, hey, look what I told everybody about these $80 puts, and now I am a millionaire. All right, back over to Adair at the desk.
This part of the show is brought to you by Trade the Pool. Trade the Pool allows traders like you to get evaluated and trade real shares using the company's capital. No PDT rule holding you back. That's what they give a true trading edge. Here's the exciting part. Trade the Pool has just launched a limited edition program to evaluate stock traders like you. For a one-time fee of just $97, you'll receive $20,000 in buying power, and all you have to do is reach the profit goal. The best part of this limited edition program is that they've reduced the profit goal and the minimum trades required to reach the funded phase. And the profit split's been upgraded, so now you can keep 70% of the profits. You should definitely want to check it out. Scan the QR code or click the link in the description for more information.
Much Adair. I just want to show you guys a bit of it was an adjustment because I said I was only going to bid until low of the day and then wait for 23s to come in, and then had to make a change here when it did this bottoming tail candle. I guess a 15-minute chart's going to look a little bit better in here. So it did a bottoming tail candle through that low. There's your wick. There's a retrace back through. So at that point, I took another quartile out. So now just hold on for Dodge. If it gets to 23, great. The market's still, relatively weak, but there's the market bouncing off overnight lows as well. So you're rounding into I suppose, inside day, yesterday afternoon highs, overnight lows. If you were to bounce and get to VWAP here on the NQs, I think I'd want to be looking for shorts back at VWAP on any stocks that are looking relatively weak. Jesse Aragon just said in the super chat, Amazon is killing you. Or first off, I have to go to Alibaba just to show you guys. I'll get to the super. I want to finish the super chat in a second, but Alibaba just took the 104, so I'm now out. I said if it broke to 104 the way it was making higher lows, no reload at 104 the way it was doing, and then get some out at VWAP, hold on to the last little bit for a push underneath VWAP, but then get out on a break of 104. We had a 95 entry price there. So now done with Alibaba. This looks like a rounded bottom and suddenly looking relatively strong. But I wanted to cover that before we got into the super chat. Make sure you guys knew what was going on there with the Alibaba trade. Wow. So Amazon, you say, is killing you. Well, obviously, you're probably talking about the day trade because the market is weak. Amazon's a great stock. Oops. I'll just go back to the super chat. There we go, fan funding. I love that feature. Need a green candle. So appreciate the super chat there. I'm with you 100%. Like I was sitting there saying, this looks like it can be relatively strong holding off VWAP, but there's never, I haven't just seen an entry point yet. Now you're getting a higher low bounce off 187. I like 186.5 on the 15-minute chart, but at least you're holding the low. This is a bit of a stronger bounce here. I don't like it if the market doesn't hold this overnight bottom, though. I don't like many longs unless the market holds that overnight bottom on Amazon. I'd go for something a little bit stronger. I'd rather a stock that's above VWAP and showing strength than trying to bottom pick here on something like an Amazon. Let's go to Adair. I believe it's the small cap recap.
It is, in fact, the small cap recap here today. We're going to take a look first at the IWM. This is a great look here on the 15-minute chart. As you can see, we had a bit of a bounce here with that wick into 222s, bit of previous resistance there as well. Now using that as support, up more than $2 from that point. So great look for the Russell 2000 on the 15-minute chart as we push higher. Though it's worth noting a bit of a volume decline on that move up. In terms of small caps, we do have FHUN. This is fun where I'm seeing around a $550 million market cap. So not tiny, but not extremely significant either. This one up more than 20%. Not seeing any news. Could be a bit of a sympathy play with DJT and RUM, both of which are running as well. We also have about a 6.7% short float for PHUN. Next up, we have Bit Digital, BTBT. Of course, all these crypto names pretty strong. But late on Friday, we had Bit Digital announcing its acquisition of this Innova data centers for roughly $46 million. So BTBT also here on watch with a 17.6% short float. Last but not least here, we've got DRUG. This one is Brightmind. This company ran yesterday as well. Today up more than 100%. Not seeing any news for DRUG, but lots of social media attention for this one. We do have here just under 3 million share float. Lots of names on watch, guys.
EREG. That was a big one yesterday. I wanted to also thank was LV, I believe. Thank you for the memberships. LA, sorry, gifted 20 memberships. So appreciate you. If you've never collected the membership, you have to enable it when you come into the chat or come into the stream. You can enable gifts, and then you're eligible. And then I think they just sort of hand it out randomly. I believe that's how it works. So if you're in here, and if you want to be in the chat and be involved, ask questions, be part of a great community, make sure you hit the subscribe button. It's a subscribers only chat. So jump in while the water is warm. Although the market is looking red, the Adara indicator is feeling like it's undefeated. The market's going to lose these bottoms. So thank you guys so much for all of that. I do feel like, and we're just talking about Amazon in that context, I said I'd rather be long something that's showing in strength. So Apple's putting in higher lows. It's above VWAP. You do have these bottom wicks down into 235.85. So it did a kind of an indecision candle, then a retest of that low, wick the bottom, and then bounce back through. So on the way back up through 236 here, it's like downward trend, let it make the sideways, give it some green, wick the bottom, maybe get some people out already, then all the way back through to 236. Want to play to the $0.50, then to 237 in here. I feel like you could be putting in a head and shoulders off the all-time high. It's an all-time high rejection. So why not hold on to this trade? Well, this trade was a mean reversion trade. This looks like it was just an all-time high rejection. I didn't really have an entry off that unless you were just straight up saying Apple's not going to continue through the all-time high. I didn't have that idea, so obviously I'm not going to jump into that short. I just like the mean reversion because it was a clear trend line break. We're going to play back into 237 here on Apple. If it gets all the way up to an all-time high, I'd only hold a small piece for that. All right, Intel still.
I don't need that.
Intel actually made a fresh low, so it's still working trend down, bidding 23 in front of 23.10s and 23 evens. So keep short weak stocks, look long strong stocks. I know that seems like a simple thing to say, but oftentimes we don't necessarily. I don't always do it. Nvidia is a weak stock today. It's down 3.5%. But remember, in context, this is I guess a rejection of. Technically, it made an all-time high on a closing basis. There was a couple of wicks higher, but that's technically an all-time high. You still have all kinds of support here at the 131. On the daily chart, that's where the support would be, 130 to 131. So I think you got to be very patient. If you're trying to bottom pick Nvidia today, then when in doubt, zoom out. Otherwise, recognize that the chips led this charge to the downside in the first place. Nvidia, AMD, both rejecting very quickly. ARM is getting woodshed is not the right word, but ARM after 7, 8, 9, 10 days up in a row or something like that, ARM pulling right back into 150. So it's all the chips that are looking very, very weak and giving you plenty of dip if you're into it.
Yeah, and as Neil said, I think that's probably what I try to do the best is stay strong, stay long, strong names and short, weak names. I mean, that's why we're in FXI and Apple. We do have a brand new trade. The triple Qs, and we'll talk about that. We're into the NASDAQ long right here. We got out a little bit. We're back in it. Just watch out to see what winds up happening here with the NASDAQ. I'm long, and it's Adara at the desk.
Found some context here on that move down for Nvidia and a lot of these chip names seeing circulated here around social media. This report initially released a little bit earlier today from Bloomberg, not super specific here, but saying that apparently the current Biden administration looking to restrict export of advanced AI chips from companies, specifically naming Nvidia and AMD, to specific countries, specifically in the Middle East, for example, UAE and Saudi Arabia. If these restrictions do go through, that would, of course, strengthen these earlier restrictions with regards to curbing China's access to AI chips. So again, just to recap, Bloomberg reporting a pretty unspecific here reported consideration from the Joe Biden administration with regards to Nvidia, AMD, and other advanced AI chips not going to countries like the UAE and Saudi Arabia here, guys.
Well, I haven't even looked at a chip name there. We just talked about going long on the TQQ, so right now 15 handles in the money on that one as we just bought those dips into there, so 75.50. We did get stopped out though. It's funny, like the same thing that happened on our Apple trade where we get stopped out and buy it back, and then Apple becomes PL1. So we'll have to wait to see now what happens with the TQs. Hopefully we can get a nice upside move here. Looking to take out this level 75.77, and again, it's just fallen in, right? There's the 20-minute chart. Falling into the 50-period moving average. Yeah, I was looking at, I feel like we're a little bit early, which is why I'm trying to get some out if we pop out. We could still get to that 20,500 marker. So here's a little bit of a longer look here on the NASDAQ. 20,500 is right here. Like, that's going to be a pretty key level. We broke above it. We held. We didn't hold. The support, resistance, all that jazz. So like I said, simple trader over here trying to make simple trades. And to me, I feel like this is a much better long than what we're trying to do right now, trying to pick it up in the middle here. But again, these are the e-signal charts. Make sure you do check the link in description and get some e-signal from us. But right now, just see, we just got a piece out there. There it is. Look at this move. So big move down in the market. So we get stopped out. So buy and then stopped out right there on the TQs. Big move down in this market right now happening. It just cracked. So nice little crack down. That's out. So we were just talking about it. Like, my hands were even off the schedule there as we break that back down below that low of 40s. So we are now out of that one. There goes that talk. But FXI continues to be the name that is holding us for the short. I mean, it's making that move down now. I am bidding 61s. There we go. And we get 61s. That's a face slapper right there on FXI. So we'll be red. There we go. We are human. We have a red name there today in the TQQs as that one cracks lower, lower, lower. I see you're back in Intel over there.
And did not want to go long, so we're just going to get out flat there. But first things first, Apple, at the exact same moment, I'm going to guess that last leg in the futures or whatever, everything pretty much made a downward tick in there. Apple lost local support. It's not a VWAP play for me. This was where it decided to bottom, get into the long. I was scalping out on the way, so it ends up being more of a flat trade than anything else because we were able to get half out on the scalp trade to the $0.50. But now you might be losing VWAP. Intel got to the even dollar. I was already bidding there and then got double filled. So I'm out of it. There was an accidental long that I just flatted the second I got into it. I just hit the offer enter. Now breaking the $23. If it can hold under 23, great. But I feel like this is a level usually on Intel where you get a little bit of a bounce play. Zoom it out. Wow. Okay, well, you're not really getting much of a bounce. The last time it was here, it got to 22.95. And then there was a huge move to the upside. So Intel does have, I mean, historically, at least historically, it usually is bouncing off this level. Looks like it's actually carrying through to said downside. Nasty, nasty in these chips. I think you just got, if you're looking for bottom picks in there, you got to be very, very patient.
Very, very patient.
Wow, it just, I thought it was gonna chew through that and then bounce right back off that even dollar. Now you have, forget about any overnight lows. You're through those. The NASDAQ trying to bounce off of previous resistance going into last week. That's that 24.5 level. So I think the only thing I like for a long right here was probably Apple off of VWAP. I just need to see it set up here. Yeah, now starting to bounce off of VWAP. It's only going to be Apple because I can't really see anything else that's looking like it's still strong. If we're going to bounce off those levels in the NASDAQ, I'd rather go into the strongest stock. Let's go to Adara, see how Bitcoin is doing. Still holding it.
ASML reported, but they said
Bitcoin looking pretty beautiful here. We had a gorgeous move up yesterday. Look at this strong candle closing around that resistance of that's just below 66,000. Today, we actually got as high as 68,000 before pulling back as of right now, just below 67. It's interesting here too, this 68,000 high is actually right below this previous double top we got into mid to late July around that just above 68,000 levels. So certainly some areas of resistance coming into play here on BTC, though it's finding pretty clear support at 60,000, complete with a double bottom and a previous resistance bounce. So good look here with 60,000 support for BTC to the USD on the daily chart. Ethereum here also pretty strong above that 2,600 level, though up percentage-wise quite a bit less than Bitcoin here. BNB up more than 1%, Dogecoin up about 1%, but we're not seeing as much unity in a lot of these crypto names. We have some weakness here in Tron, Toncoin, Avalanche, Shiba Inu down about 0.5%, though a lot of these other names up modestly positively here. So Solana up about 0.5%, as is Ripple. Again, Dogecoin a little bit stronger. Bit of a mixed picture, though generally things are only slightly positive or slightly negative. No huge moves in the Bitcoin space or crypto space, guys.
Well, as long as it's no huge moves is a good sign today, because with the market doing what it did on that reversal, I think if you're not cratering on Bitcoin or any of those names, I think you're looking pretty solid as far as I'm concerned. So Apple we got out of it, look for it to set back up the long. It bounced off of VWAP. It's such a big mover that I'm trying to zoom in the chart so you don't have to worry about by not being able to see the levels. It did make on the local bottom at the 3/4 mark and is now trying to battle at 236. I immediately took an offer at 97s because it's not a brick wall, but there's now resistance literally at the even dollar level on Apple. So it's the only thing that I'm going for the dip buy right here. But if you look at what's going on, there's other names that are absolutely flying around. Oh boy, Intel just cannot seem to make any kind of a bid to the downside. I shouldn't have got out of that, but hey, it was the even dollar. I said the even dollar, so I got out of the even dollar. Now it looks like it should go further. Nvidia is 131 and challenging to break fresh lows. And that brings me back to AMD. Mea culpa, it is what it is. I keystroked out of that trade. Bottoming tail candle through 158. 158 is support on the daily on AMD. So there is a bottoming tail candle.
Man,
if it holds now on to 158, which it's not looking like it wants to, if it can now hold on to the 158, I'd look for a higher low entry point as you try to make a rounded bottom. But the way this market's going to the downside, as I said, it just didn't hold on to 158, so forget about that. It's a setup I was looking for at a key price level, but if there's no bounce off the level you like, you don't have to catch the falling knife. This market only wants to go down. The only thing above VWAP that I can even find is Apple. Everything else turning to the downside.
So there's a big.
I'll hate myself for getting out of Intel.
The big story here is ASML, though. I don't know what's going on. There's a sales event right now. They have net sales of 28 billion versus 27.7. So ASML right now down 10%. But they actually beat on their sales estimate. So 28 billion versus 27.7. But I guess it's not a beat of enough as Nvidia falls down.
That's a problem.
I tried to catch the bottom thinking that it was ASML specific, but I'll try one more time here. What's up, Adara?
Oh my God, I didn't realize it was
We've got the ASML numbers coming through here, and so they did have a higher than expected guidance there for their net bookings. However, the numbers themselves for Q3, quite a bit lower than expected. I'm seeing 2.63 billion euros versus the estimate of 5.39 billion euros. So that's quite a big miss here. Again, from what I'm seeing here, 2.63 billion euros versus the estimate of 5.39 billion euros in bookings. For their 2025 net sales guidance, though, as Sean just alluded to there, they did actually have above expectations. So although on the high and the lower end a little bit weaker. So I'm seeing 30 billion to 35 billion versus estimates of 35.94 billion. Another number I was seeing actually showed that they beat. So 28 billion euros here versus the estimates of 27.71 billion euros. So a couple different numbers there. The main thing worth noting, though, is they had quite the miss for their Q3 net bookings, guys.
Yeah, that is that's not a small deal. So just one thing to keep in mind with ASML. I didn't realize how big of a deal that was. I think when you said it, I was like, oh, ASML is doing something. I didn't realize it was down 11%. It closes in Europe at 11:30. And if that's been moving the chips to the downside, just watch out for that 5-minute window when Europe's going into the close, as a lot of times you can see like reversals or liquidity grabs. So just that'll be an hour or so before we get the Europe close. It's traced primarily in Amsterdam. But it's not hard to tell what direction the market is going. But on most days, you want to make sure your window to the market is a strong one so you can pick out the best trades and best opportunities. That's why we want to shout out to eSignal, a fantastic trading platform where you can, charting platform where you can trade smarter and not harder. Upgrade to your elite trading experience. You want to analyze the markets. You want to strategize within the markets. You want infinite data. You want instant trading with a wide array of tools, and eSignal is going to be for you. Charts are a game changer because that's how almost everybody is introduced to the markets, but you want to make sure that you're always learning and moving forward with them. You have the ability to have an API. You can back test, forward test your strategies, a very important thing a lot of traders don't always do. It's all well and good to have an idea and use indicators, but why not see if it's worked in the past and in the future? The best you're going to be able to find when it comes to back testing. It's reliable real-time data on just about every single thing you can imagine you want to trade, which is huge. Every single indicator you can imagine. It's everything you need in a single place here. So if you are ready to elevate your trading, scan that QR code, click the link in the description, tag on to eSignal, and begin your journey into better charting and better windows to the market as the market is. So now there's 200,000 on the offer that was just walking down Intel. I just saw when I finished that read, I looked over here. Apple just lost support.
Nvidia's down 7%.
Nvidia's down 7%. All right, so this looks like a crazy bottoming tail move in here. I just saw someone walk at Intel down. They just lost the offer. So that might be trying to bounce. AMD, thank goodness. Again, if it doesn't set up off your level, you don't have to trade it. That just never set up. You know, I liked 158, but give me a break. Like, there was never anybody on the bid. Watching Intel here, so that seller was right down there at 170, and they're back, and they're back. So I thought they were gone, and the cat came back the very next day. The cat came back, and there is the seller on Intel. If it can clear this guy, or if it can clear this order, then I would look for a quick little mean reversion long. They just fill him. I think they just filled him.
Oh,
I think they just filled. Get back above that 73, maybe take out the 75. Where was the prior low? It was at 75 to give to 170. If it breaks 170, if it breaks 22.75, not 175, and can hold on to the 70 level, they just filled that in one shot, as you guys just saw on level 2, and it's still going down. A lot of times you get a reversal when that happens.
Yeah, I was trying to trade Nvidia here off of ASML, just watching out how that stock is moving. We're down to 130 right now on Nvidia. We've been okay. ASML is getting clubbed again. It just took down 750 right there on ASML. So it looks like yeah, this is not stopping. I was trying to play a bounce there and doing it in Nvidia because I just felt like if they want to get bounced back up to the upside there at ASML, then maybe we do get another long happening right now in the market. But talk about like the market getting the story before everybody else. I mean, ASML started falling. NASDAQ started a couple minutes before then, and there it goes all the way down. So I'd have to look at that correlation one more time. But we're long right now at 130.20s here on Nvidia, but it already broke, and we got out one time there when it broke through 130 there. And here it comes back in one more time into 130. Watch out for that 112. Look how fast this goes down. ASML, by the way, I'm lowered the shares right here until we get this all figured out. ASML right now is just down another $12. This is the last time we looked at it. Again, a $750 name.
Is
ASML.
this not halted?
It should be halted.
I think it's halted.
No, it's not halted. I'm watching it. Oh, you're talking about watching it in AS? Well, it's open right now in the NASDAQ. It's ripping back.
I think it's halted in Europe.
Okay, but is it? I don't know. It's
I have a locked quote, and it's not moving. So I think it's
probably closed.
I think it's halted. Close to 11:30.
Daylight savings time? I don't know. But anyways, ASML right now 750, battling back here, but it's not. It's taking its toll here on Nvidia. There's 129 on NVDA. Wow, this name down now 6.5%. Nvidia really cracking lower here.
There's lots of notably red sectors here in this market, but there's some strength as well. In terms of weakness, we of course have to talk about the electronic technology sector, with the exception of Apple, which did have one of its best Q3s in terms of its iPhone sales. We have a lot of we have a lot of weakness in the sector, specifically in chips, as we both have a Bloomberg report suggesting that the Biden administration might curb some of the transport of advanced AI chips to countries like the UAE and Saudi Arabia. We also have, of course, those ASML earnings, which came in below expectations. Also here, looking pretty weak, is technology services. Meta, Microsoft, Oracle, Netflix, all weaker. Keep an eye on NFLX ahead of its earnings on Thursday night. We also, producer manufacturing, pretty weak here. Health services being led to the downside by UNH after its earnings. Energy minerals, of course, weaker as we have weaker oil right now. But in terms of stronger sectors, there are quite a few. Retail trade, with the exception of Amazon, pretty strong. Consumer non-durables, utilities, communications, process industries, finance here, really green as we have positively received earnings from a lot of these banks, most notably CSCHW or Charles Schwab today. Health technology also, with the exception of Eli Lilly, pretty good look today as well. Lots of strength, actually, despite the overwhelming weakness going on here today, guys.
Overall weakness, you say?
A little bit. And that's how quickly a headline can change the game anywhere. But there is a bit of a battle back in. Now you're starting to go. So Intel, there's the bottoming tail candle. Okay. We're waiting for this move to happen on INTC. That looks like a capitulation candle if I've ever seen one. And if it's not one, then there isn't going to be, well, I shouldn't say that. But if that isn't one, then what else are you looking for? So is what it is. I'm in here at 75. I want to see if I can add to this one on the way up here. I don't necessarily think you get to VWAP, but the idea is get in, give it to the local bottom. That's at 65s here. I still have this up ASML in Europe just to see what happens. What I don't want to see is all of a sudden that start cratering again. So I'm going to have that chart up regardless. As long as it doesn't die, then I think you can have a bit of a recovery play. But waiting for that capitulation to come in, I think 23 gives you an obvious place for any move in Intel to get to. And if it goes through 65 again, we're going to get out. ASML on, you know, I'm just going to chart it here. Forget about the Europe one. You have to look at it on the NASDAQ. Because right now it's trading on the NASDAQ and it's not in Europe. So this is what ASML looks like. Load, load, load. It's also good. It was doing a bottoming tail candle for a reversal, and all of a sudden it just rejected. So this was bouncing, and I think it's a place you want to take a shot. You're waiting for it to give you the bottoming tail candle for some kind of an entry point. But if this doesn't hold 750, all bets are going to be off, I think.
I mean, it's easy to say we have a dollar winner here on AM and Nvidia because we do, but at the same time, it's like, that was tricky, man. I mean, we didn't have any 129s. We were just sort of caught in deer in headlights there waiting to see what was happening. So our best fills are still at 130. Would have loved to have that 129, obviously, and put this one to bed. But let's just take out some more here as it continues to rip back to the upside. We are still watching out for a go, Nvidia, go. I mean, this ain't your problem. Actually, it is. ASML right now, trying to battle back a little bit. I mean, that was a pretty good wipeout bottom there. Not really on too much capitulated volume. I mean, the volume really was everyone getting out of the way early, as all the smart money makes it here. And then down here is unfortunately us, retail, waiting to see what the next shoe to drop is. And of course, you get liquidated and then it pops back to the high side. And I feel like that's exactly what happened on Nvidia here as well. As there's Nvidia, I mean, what a good play this has been right now, but still ways to go to the upside if we're going to make it all back. Nvidia was down at 7. I'm going to take out another piece here at 16s or 17s, whatever I just got there. As Nvidia was down 6.5%. I remember I was like, wow, Nvidia's down 6% here, guys. Well, that is what it was, and now it's trying to make its way back, still down 5%. So we'll have to give it a little bit of a rest here and see if it wants to get back to the upside. We were able to take advantage of FXI as well on this drop. I mean, this is a pretty smooth trade, man, to the downside. Obviously wishing that we had held a little bit more, but I like that trade there on FXI. So, yeah, we'll wait for Nvidia. Here it comes right now, $1.30. Keeps on stopping in and around here. Let's take something out in the 30s. There we go. Let's take something out in the 70s if we can get higher than this as well. And then we'll wait to see. So here it goes, a nice move back upside now. We're long at 130 on Nvidia. We had to be patient with this trade. So let's see if it now wants to work back there to the upside. Missed opportunity reload on Apple maybe as it bounced around VWAP, but again, my attention.
It's under VWAP still.
Yeah, it's right there now. So we'll take a little bit of a fill there on Apple. Our prices changed, right? We were long at 235, but we'll take a little bit right there right now. But it's really Nvidia that's making me a little happier here because that was a tough one. There it goes, man, into the 70s, now a $2 winner, but again, took a minute to get that. There goes Nvidia. We were dead in the water down there, and we were caught with our hands between our legs there because we did not hit the buy key, and we probably should have. We were waiting for Google to get a little bit lower. That was turning into 165. Again, right into those days lows again. I was waiting at 165 clean, did not get it. We'll now cancel it. More outs coming for Nvidia, I think.
Yeah, well, guess what's now battling back? It's now 3 consecutive green candles here on ASML, charting it in the NASDAQ here. Holds the 750 level, and now you're getting a much better looking chart. AMD, we're already in Intel. AMD just made the 156. This looks like a, oh no. Yeah, before I could even, I went over to AMD, it was like, oh, 57 for a breakout, and then it just went through before I could get any kind of a stop order in there. I'll see if I can get picked back up. We are in Intel off that bottom play. But yeah, you had to be watching, I think, ASML that entire time. Still not trading, and it doesn't really matter. Got to trade on the NASDAQ. Guess we're not going to get picked up on AMD, and I don't want this on the way back in. It was just Intel that I guess we're going to have to roll with as it's trying to make a move back into 23. Now, remember, to me, Intel, that 23 level, I thought was going to be a support level. So if we get back there, it is out in front of $23. You know, that's support to resistance is the most common thing. It was already weak. Remember, Intel was already bad before any of this happened. So as far as I'm concerned, if it sniffs that 23 level, it's an out of the long. So I'm going to be getting outs in front of 80, 85, 90, 95, all the way up. It's Apple, which I still think it's relatively strong here. I mean, you're still putting in lower highs for now, but there's a little bit of a channel forming on Apple that if it can break out of it, like visually, it looks like this. So call it like these highs. I know because when you're in it. So there's this channel that is kind of working to the downside. It's not as clean as you would like. But to me, if it can hold on to VWAP, hold above this channel, I think Apple should have no trouble going back to the highs because the market's bouncing off of fresh low after low after low, and Apple's still up 1.8%. So this can hold on to the channel and break out upside. I'd look to re-enter the long trade, specifically in Apple. So ASML is reopened in Europe, and it's opening higher. So obviously that's going to be a good sign for those chips. I'm keeping an eye on it. If it retakes these lows, like 690 in Amsterdam, and over in New York, I believe it was like a 750 level. Yeah, like 750 over here in NASDAQ, I should say. Through those, and you want to get out of your chip longs, I think, but the recovery is now coming. And opening back up in Amsterdam and opening higher is a very good sign for these chips.
All right, guys, it's a $2 winner right now on Nvidia. So it's going, man. It's going higher and higher right now. And again, we were already on that trade, as Neil was mentioning it. I'm watching ASML on another level right here, and that's why I'm long Nvidia. I was talking about that. I was like, okay, well, we're long Nvidia against ASML, and that looks like that's been the key one more time coming in now. So we'll wait to see now if it continues to go upside. As there goes Nvidia now, $2 and change in the money. Big trade alert right now on Nvidia. So really glad to have made it here. But again, as we know, trades are never over until you are out of them. So we'll have to wait now to see what happens with Nvidia and the rest of them as that continues to go upside. We are getting some more Apple long down here near 235, but if that breaks 235, then the story here is it hits the high of the day of its lifespan and then falls off of that. So again, a little bit of a dangerous play coming in for Apple as well as we go long right now, long right here, 235.21s on Apple. Adara.
DXY here poised to have its first red candle in 5 days after a nice continued push to the upside. Of course, we've seen some strength in the DXY since we had this double bottom at the end of September. So about half a month right now of continued upside moves. Let's see, though, if we continue to find a bit of resistance around this previous area of resistance at that 103.20s. We currently have 2 wicks into that area right now, trading around 103.10s. It's been a bit of a lighter week for economic data, and we're mostly going to continue that way. Today, we do have comments from Fed's daily at 11:30 a.m., Fed's cooler at 1:05 p.m. It's also worth noting at 11 a.m., so in just about 10 minutes, we're going to be getting the New York Fed inflation expectations. So that number could be on watch. We'll let you know if that comes out in any way unexpected, or we'll definitely have eyes on that print. In terms of later this week, import and export prices we're getting tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. Thursday at 8:30 we'll be getting, in addition to jobless claims, some retail sales data and even more Fed speakers. Then Friday, a slew of Fed speakers and some housing data as well. So later week, but a little something each day here for the rest of the week, guys.
Thank you very much there, Adara. And going to start taking some out here as Intel's already running to resistance. But I wanted to show that there was a confluence here with Intel. And I always talk about these mean reversion trades and looking for an entry point on actual strength because you get the falling knife. So there's your opening range bottom. There was when we had the short and it kind of tried to hold on. Your flat bottom break through support, and then you have a new trend. So this is when the ASML nonsense started happening as they started to accelerate. So there's your break, there's your trend down, there's your hold above the trend. Don't get long until it shows you reversal. Bottoming tail candle, reverse of the trend line, enter in, give it to the local bottom. So the whole trade sort of lined up that way. There is one name, and Sebastian, shout out to it. I feel like we did, whoops, that's not the right symbol. While all this was going on, what is dead may never die. Walgreens just made a fresh high of the day, up 16% on earnings. This is one of those charts that look away. If you zoom out too far, you'll probably hurt yourself, but it is breaking out. I don't consider it necessarily a traditional squeeze type name, but on earnings, this one is a 13% short float. And it is now breaking. It's past $10. It just made a fresh high in here. I feel like this is one to watch going into the afternoon. I'm pretty sure the boys will be on that one. As I don't really see much else that's screaming to the upside anymore. But Intel, I want to make sure you guys saw why I like that entry and where to get into it. We want some carry through, but I'm going to be out in front of 23. VWAP to me is probably a short on Intel if we get back in. This was trending down regardless. as far as I'm concerned. So I want to go back to square one, but after the mean reversion trade is done.
All right, anyway, everybody. Yeah, it's only 7 minutes left. So far, so good here as we continue to watch out for Nvidia, and the battle back is real right here. I just said under my breath to Neil how much money we made from the bottom there. That was quite the move down right now. So we will hold to see if we can get something back end right now. And boy, oh boy, did we do it again right now on Apple. We just bought some more lows there into 235. So again, a good little level there to look at there for Apple. Trying to make that money back. We are long right now at 235.21. It's 40 cents in the money and going higher right now, Apple. So let's see how high it does want to fly back there now. I mean, I think we can get going a lot more than where we are now. So let's put an offer right here at 75. Oh my God, it's there already. Okay, well, we just offered 75. Let's see if it can get there. We do like these even sort of penny levels, and there it goes right now. Props it up, man. There it goes. Wow, 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 wow. $3 in the money on Nvidia, almost 70 cents in the money on Apple as that retraces back high side now. And oh, I was not expecting this kind of a move back. Wow, Neil, we just put this trade on. We just talked about this trade on Apple. Like you were just mentioning about VWAP. So was I. I was like, we like that trade there for Apple. And you actually nailed it right there before as well. Said trade strong names. I mean, and that's, people always ask what my strategy is. It's catalyst, it's momentum, and it's support and resistance. There's nothing else for me. I don't use like Fibonacci. I mean, you know, the only time you'll hear Fibonacci really out of any of our mouths is when they're teaching it here on
Isn't it Fibonacci?
Yeah, it is Fibonacci. Yeah, you have to talk about that with Sharif, of course. But Fibonacci only really, again, if you use it, great. For some swing trades, maybe. But for here, what you need is balls, momentum, a little bit of this, and go. And there it goes right now. Apple trying to get back up there to the upside, and it's still going. FXI, we are very, very light on that one, less than 10%, but it's Nvidia trying to go here higher and higher. We'll see where Nvidia winds up now, trying to get back into that 133. I mean, we're already there, top to bottom. So let's see if we get a little bit more of a rally upside now for NVDA.
Yes, sir. I like this bounce back. I'm keeping a very close eye on ASML here. Like at no point, I'll get to this drug stock because I can't believe this stock from yesterday is at $13. But ASML, I'm keeping an eye on this one. There's no massive levels in here. I'm just going to put up like a 15. Like even if you were to try to fill in the gap, that wouldn't be for another 20 bucks on ASML. And I'm looking at it in Amsterdam because I don't want to miss when it closes. It'll close in 40 minutes or so. And I'll go to drug in a second, just an idea. We just got to 90s on Intel. I have a 95, and then 23 even is going to be the level that we want to get out. Look for a reversal. Ideally, that would happen after the European close, and then we can be post ASML trading on that. So drug is up 440% for everyone asking, and this is, I'm just reading what the theoretical auction price is. It's halted at $13.44. The tap is $33 right now. So it's going to open up usually in two. That can't be right.
Nvidia.
The tap is 1,300 and now 111 and now 1,300. So the tap is off the chain. I would suspect it might be a 10-minute halt because of that. If there's no liquidity, they can't open it at a reasonable price. Those are the exact conditions, though you'll get a 10-minute halt instead of a 5-minute halt. So congratulations if you're in this one. It's probably going nuts. It can go down as fast as it's coming up. The tap now $25, which I suppose is at least a little bit more reasonable. Wow.
Might have heard that. Again, good look there on drug. But for Apple, we're in Apple. We just talked about what we were doing on Apple as well. That's going to be a banger of a trade right now. Apple breaking through 236, 85 cents right there. We promised you another one. Adam Deleuze, you're in the chat. You know, we've talked about this over and over again. Real trading over here. Nvidia as well, man. Shout out to Real Trading, of course, our #1 sponsor. All right, so we just got out of Nvidia there at 132.50. We got out of a decent amount as we are right near now the 50-period moving average. And it looks like it may want to turn down on us a little bit. So let's see. Whoa, okay. We'll get something. Whoa, okay. We will get something out if it comes back up. There it is. So we just get an 05 there as that just tanked for a little bit. Let's get out some more Apple as we go. A little bit nervous here watching to see how these bounce around just a little bit now. It's all good over here. FXI, Nvidia, and the likes of them. I don't think we have what's for lunch yet. No, we did not get that. So we'll have to wait on that one. FXI. So the TQQs. So again, we'll be red on this one. We were unable to capture this short. In fact, we went long off 75. I mean, I thought it was coming in right in there into the 20 period. But look what happens. It does bounce off the 20-minute 200. But I feel like I don't really look at all that. I can't just chart everything and be like, oh, look at that. You know, you got to go on certain strategies. And for me, we were in and out of that one real quick. And we were actually talking about the futures. And I was like, oh my gosh, what just happened? And then it completely fell out of bed there. So the futures contract, nice downside move there, and continuously going. Now down 1%, 20,450 as the Adara red indicator does not seem to fail. But I just want to say something to you guys. Like ASML, I just want to show you we're not just a one-trick pony over here, as I've already explained to you how I trade. But when that ASML news hit, obviously I'm not going to trade. I mean, I could have gone over here and traded this. All I did was look at ASML, watch the price action, and then literally said to everybody, we're going to go long here because it looks like ASML is bouncing. All right, so we had to let it settle down, and then boom, we did go long, and we were able to take advantage of that. So you don't just want to make sure to look at one thing, you want to try to look at everything. And that would have been a good example there of in the wild, looking at a stock that reacts, then go over to a stock that you actually trade, and then put that through. Wow, we got an early switch over there. We've got Joseph coming, and we've got Sharif. I like how Joseph's name is bold, is in cap letters, but Sharif's is not. I wonder what's up with that right there. So thank you to Fabian for doing a bang-up job.
Which would make sense if it was a longer name. But Joseph, you got to say it with emphasis, I suppose. One last thing, because I know we got to get out of here. I didn't realize it was already 11 o'clock.
That's not.
Don't forget, if you're watching ASML, if you're watching the chips, they'll close at 11:30. So ASML is going to close at 11:30. You might see it do some funny stuff here in the U.S. or in the U.S. markets at that time. I did jump out of here on the last. I have the last 5% of Intel. It came right back in, couldn't get through that prior support level, and got to 90 instead of 95. So now I'm break even out on INTC. So that was my only mean reversion trade, and that's the update. I believe we have some numbers to get to before we head to Learn to Trade with Sharif and Joseph.
We're just waiting here right now for the New York Fed inflation expectation numbers. Previous print here, 3%. Forecast I am seeing here of 2.9%. I'm not seeing the number come in right now, though, but just be aware we did have a bit of a push down as of right now on the NASDAQ. I will let you guys know when this number comes through. Sorry, I thought I had the number.
What is up, beautiful people? Welcome to How to Trade, formerly known as that Midday Show. That's your boy Joe with the names in the